Chapter 246. Supergrade Spirit Gathering Pill. Everyone thought of Yunchujia's room that had been struck by the heavenly lightning. It was too terrifying to be targeted by it. Could the person that the heavens wanted to kill still live? The answer was obvious. Yunchujio had been targeted by so many heavenly lightning before she could even cultivate. If she could cultivate, would she not be turned into ashes very soon? Master Xianyuan frowned. Yunchujio didn't show any other talent. Maybe Yunchujio doesn't have the heavenly lightning root spirit, but just an ordinary lightning root spirit. Elder Qi sighed and said, Master, Yunchujio has other talents. She has a photographic memory. Elder Chu added, and she speaks eloquently. Didn't she fool those mighty elephants a few days ago? How could an ordinary person do that? Elder Xiao frowned. Yunchujio is good at taking advantage of opportunities. Her victory over Su Yanran a few days ago is a typical example. I wonder if being sinister and cunning is considered talent. Master Xianyuan silently added in his heart. This fellow is also extremely greedy and has cheated me of many things. Although what everyone is saying can be considered talent, it isn't too heaven-defying. Why don't we observe first? If she really has the heavenly root spirit, we will tell her the whole story and let her decide whether to continue cultivating or not. Everyone, the matter of a heavenly root spirit is truly inconceivable. Everyone, please keep it a secret. Master Xianyuan said after thinking for a moment. Everyone did not have any other good ideas to handle it, so they nodded their heads in agreement. Yunchujio did not know that she had already become the focus of attention. She took the spirit stones and ran to Elder Qi's spirit herb garden, continuing to collecting herbs. She was already at the 5th level of the spirit cultivator realm. She was prepared to get more goods so that she could go to the alchemy room to refine spirit gathering pills. Yunchujio borrowed a lot of spirit herbs from the outer area and extended her evil hand to the high-level spirit herb garden. Yunchujio carefully took a few leaves and then stopped. Elder Qi was keeping a close watch on the spirit herbs there. It would be bad if she was discovered. The dormitory was still under construction, so she just happened to go to the alchemy room to stay for the night. Therefore, Yunchujio went straight to the alchemy room with a big sack on her back. Manager Gao's head hurt a little when he saw Yunchujio's appearance. Yunchujio, why didn't you go to Elder Qi's place to help? Why did you come here instead? Manager Gao, I haven't refined pills for a long time, so my hands are a little itchy. Hurry up and give me an alchemy room. I'll finish this quickly and try to get out tomorrow morning. This time, I definitely won't release any poisonous smoke. Yunchujio said with a smile. Manager Gao braced himself and gave Yunchujio the jade token for room number 28. Yunchujio happily took the jade token and rushed to the room. Did you hear? Yunchujio came to refine pills again. What? Do you know when she will leave? I'll stay far away when that time comes. The poisonous smoke last time made my throat hurt for several days. Manager Gao said that shall be done by tomorrow morning. At that time we'll just avoid her. Yes, you're right. I have to hurry up with my work. I will not stay in this damn place tomorrow morning no matter what. Yunchujio entered alchemy room number 28. After opening the isolation array, she began to refine pills crazily. The first batch was successfully completed. Not only was there a 100% success rate, but they were all supergrade pills with pill patterns. After the strange grass in her dantian smelled the fragrance, it immediately began to complain about its hunger. Therefore, Yunchujio swallowed a lot of spirit gathering pills while refining pills. By midnight, Yunchujio had already turned a few sacks of herbs into a supergrade spirit gathering pills. Chapter 247. Am I that shameless? After a short nap, Yunchujio got up and filled the alchemy furnace with a bunch of miscellaneous things again. This time she was merciful and did not put any chili powder in. After the burnt smell was produced, she carried a sack of shredded cabbage out of the alchemy room. Why is there no one here? Where did all the people go? Yunchujio shook her head inexplicably and ran out of the alchemy room with a big sack on her back. Manager Gao saw that Yunchujio had gone far away and shouted loudly, cough, cough, come out. The smoke this time isn't too bad. Cough, cough. Hearing Manager Gao, the doors of the alchemy room opened one after another. Everyone lifted their noses and took a sniff. Sure enough, it was much better than the previous 2 times. It seemed that this Yun Chujo had improved. It had to be said that the efficiency at Spirit Radiance Sect was not bad. When Yun Chujo returned to her dormitory, she saw that the house had already been repaired. That night, Yun Chujo mysteriously called Yun Chuzi and the others to her courtyard. "Little Jiu, do you want a roast meat?" Yun Chulu said casually. "Roasted meat is a must. After eating the roast meat, I have something good for you," Yun Chujo said with a smile. Yun Chuzi and the others were very curious. However, Yun Chujo kept them in suspense and did not say anything. It was not easy for them to finish the barbecued meat, so Yun Chujo went back to the house having said that she wanted to get something. "What's that smell?" "It smells like medicine." Yun Chuba sniffed curiously. "Yeah, it smells so good. What did little Joe hide in the house?" Yun Chuki echoed. "It smells like a spirit gathering pill, but smells more potent than that." "What exactly is it?" Ching Si asked in confusion. Not long after, Yun Chujo came out with a basin. "La la la. The good stuff is here. Everyone please take a look." Yun Chujo put the basin on the stone table with a bang. Yun Chuzi and the others could not wait to surround her. Then they were all dumbfounded. After a long while, Yun Chu said anxiously, "Little Jiu, where did you get these pills? Did you steal them from Elder Chi? Quickly return them. There are so many pills. If they are discovered, Elder Chi will not forgive you." "That's right, little Jiu. Before anyone finds out, quickly return them," Yun Chuzi advised from the side. Yun Chujo pursed her lips. "I really didn't steal it. Am I such a shameless person?" Everyone silently said in their hearts, "You are. You definitely are." Yun Chujo saw that everyone was extremely worried, so she could only find an excuse. "Do you see the patterns on the medicinal pills? These medicinal pills were all wasted spirit gathering pills refined by Elder Chi. It would be a pity to throw them away, so I asked for them. I've double-checked. Although these pills aren't the best, 2 of them can still match the effect of one." Yun Chuzi and the others did not know that transcendent-grade pills existed at all. Seeing that there were indeed patterns on them, they believed her. Yun Chu even said, "Little Jiu, you really didn't just take them?" "Tisk, fifth sister, how could I be so bold?" "Don't worry, these pills were obtained in a normal manner. However, Elder Chi didn't allow me to tell others. He was afraid that they would say that he was unjust, so you guys have to keep it a secret," Yun Chujo said seriously. Yun Chuzi and the others nodded one after another. Only Ching Si thought about it thoroughly. Pills with patterns. Why do I feel like I've heard my mother mention this before? Why can't I remember what it is? Come, fourth brother. Take this basin of spirit gathering pills and distribute it to everyone every day. Just eat 2 before cultivating. Don't eat too many. Yun Chujo handed the basin to Yun Chuzi. Chapter 248 was indeed worthy of being the skull that the young master had fancied Yun Chuzi, and the others were fooled by Yun Chujo. As expected, they took 2 defunct spirit gathering pills on time every day. In less than 10 days, 6 people actually broke through and advanced. Little Jiu, these 10 days of cultivation are comparable to a year of cultivation. This must be the effect of those defunct pills. Are you sure these are really defunct pills? The effect is too strong. Little Jiu, logically speaking, the spirit gathering pills shouldn't have such a great effect. Are these really useless pills? That's right, little Jiu. You're not fooling us, right? Yun Chujo said with a smile. That's because your cultivation has just reached a bottleneck. These pills are just icing on the cake. Of course I'm not fooling you. If I stole them, how could Elder Chi not find out about it even after such a long time? Yun Chuzi and the others thought about it. If Yun Chujo really stole them, it would have been exposed by then. In order to prevent you from advancing too quickly and causing your foundation to be unstable, from today onward, you will take 1 pill instead of 2. Yun Chujo did not expect that this super-grade spirit gathering pill was so abnormal. If you advance too quickly, it would inevitably attract the attention of others, so it was better to keep a low profile. Yun Chuzi and the others were now following Yun Chuji's lead, so they naturally did not have any objections. Time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. There was only half a month left before the new disciple test. During these 2 months, not only did D-Biming not visit, he did not even send a message through the voice transmission talisman. Although Yoon Chujio would occasionally feel frustrated, she quickly put it aside and did not take the initiative to use a voice transmission talisman to contact D-Biming. On one evening, Yoon Chujio had just returned from the spirit herb garden to her dormitory when Yoon Chu and the others arrived with smiles on their faces. Yoon Chujio asked with some puzzlement, "Fifth sister, what is it that makes you so happy? Could it be that you guys have advanced again?" Yoon Chu shook her head. "Silly girl. Have you forgotten what day it is today?" "What day is it?" Yoon Chujio was so dumb that she could not react in time. "Today is the 9th day of the 7th month. It's your 15th birthday. Look, didn't you say that there was something called a birthday cake? We made one according to your description. Do you like it?" Yoon Chu took a birthday cake out from her storage bag and placed it on the stone table. When Yoon Chujio saw the so-called birthday cake, she could not help but laugh out loud. "How's this a birthday cake? It's clearly just a few thin candles placed on the big fat cake. Happy birthday, little Jio. Little Jio, I wish you become more and more beautiful. Little Jio, I wish you happiness every day." Yoon Chujio looked at the funny birthday cake and listened to everyone's blessings, but her eyes slowly turned red. Whether it was in her past life or this life, this was her first birthday. It felt good to have someone remember and care about her. For the warmth she was receiving, she had to protect the Yoon family and the hard-won affection. Yoon Chuzi and the others were well prepared. Apart from the food, there were also a few pots of spiritual wine. The group made a fuss for a while. It was already very late, so Yoon Chuzi and the others left. After Yoon Chujio sent Yoon Chuzi and the others away, she sat beside the stone table and began to drink by herself. The two foodies, Little Black and the Silver Dragon, naturally would not let go of such an opportunity. They also began to drink. The three lords' pets drank happily. Yoon Chujio's little face was red from drinking. With a hint of drunkenness, she chanted, "A pot of wine in the flower room, drinking alone without a blind date, raising a cup to look at the bright moon, and facing the shadow into 3 people. Oh, this little girl even knows how to recite poetry. As expected of the skull that the young master has taken a fancy to." A devilish voice came from mid-air. Chapter 249. Shue Wuji. Yoon Chujio looked up with her drunken eyes and saw 2 people descending from the sky. The person who spoke was the red-clothed pervert who had stolen the fruit of the witch hazel grass previously. If Yoon Chujio was not drunk, she definitely would have ran away and shouted for help at the same time. However, at that moment she was already about 70% drunk and was extraordinarily bold. Yoon Chujio glanced at the red-clothed man. "So it's you, the medicine thief. Why didn't you go to the spirit herb garden to steal medicine? Why did you come to my place?" The red-clothed man looked at Yoon Chujio with interest. "Little girl, you took my aging pill last time. Why aren't you dead yet? You're the one who's going to die. I haven't lived long enough. If you don't know how to speak, then get lost." Yoon Chujio downed a cup of spirit wine and said fiercely. The man in red did not get angry. Instead, he laughed. "Interesting. Interesting. The last time someone spoke to me like this, how did I treat him? Hua Hua, tell this little girl." The corner of the man in black's eyes twitched violently. The name Hua Hua was the biggest stain in his life. Young master ordered someone to cut him dozens of times, spread honey all over his wounds, and then put him in the cave of the stone-eating ants. Yoon Chujio nodded and said, "First, Hua Hua isn't a bad name at all. Your taste is very much in line with mine. Second, you're fucking wasteful. Wouldn't it be better to use the honey to eat? There are many ways to torture people, but you've actually wasted spiritual honey on this. What an idiot." The black-clothed man thought that this black girl must be tired of living. She had actually angered the young master several times. Previously she was lucky enough to escape, but this time she was dead for sure. The black-clothed man never expected that the red-clothed man would just sit on the stone bench. He took out a wine cup from his storage ring. "Little girl, come. Pour it. As the saying goes, it's hard to find a soulmate. You're the first person to praise my aesthetic standards." Yoon Chujio was not pretentious. She filled the red-robed man's wine glass to the brim, and then said, "This name is just a code name. Naturally, it should be easy to remember. Just like my name Yunchujio. How easy it is to remember. One look and you can tell that my name is Chujio." "Oh right, red-robed pervert, what's your name?" "Red-robed pervert?" The black-robed man, scared that his knees almost buckled under him. Calling him the medicine thief was already bad enough, but now he actually called their young master a red-clothed pervert. This little girl was really seeking death by being cheeky. The black-clothed man felt that the young master was definitely going to make a move against her. Who would have thought that the red-clothed man would just smile devilishly and drink the spiritual wine in the glass in one gulp? Then he slowly said, "Shwewuji. Shwewuji? Ha ha ha. Wuji. Doesn't Wuji mean black bone chicken? Damn, I'm dying of laughter. Your name is so funny." Yun Chujo laughed so hard that she almost fell off the stone bench. "Is it very funny?" A cold light flashed in Shwewuji's eyes. He clenched his fingers tightly and there was a faint cracking sound. Obviously, he was extremely angry. "Of course it's funny. You're actually a chicken. And a black chicken at that. Ha ha ha." Yun Chujo was already 80% drunk at that time, and did not notice the killing intent in Shwewuji's eyes. The man in red looked at Yun Chujo and seemed to have thought of something. A cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, but he did not make a move. Instead he smiled and said, "The name is just a code name. There's nothing wrong with black chicken. If you like it, you can just call me that." Chapter 250. Brother Wuji, the black-clothed man, Hua Hua, felt that his young master must have taken the wrong medicine. Usually, if someone had the slightest intention of disobeying him, the punishment would be severe. In the worst-case scenario, it would be death. However, the black girl had repeatedly insulted and provoked him that day, but the young master did not kill her, and even allowed her to call him a bloody chicken. If he had not taken the wrong medicine, then he must have gone mad. Yun Chujo listened to Shwewuji's words and sized him up a few times. "You have a good temper. If only you weren't out for human skulls, then that would be better." Shadow Agent Hua Hua was almost angered to tears by Yun Chuji's words. "Our young master has a good temper. Don't you feel guilty saying that?" In the Tianyuan continent, who did not know that our young master was famous for being temperamental and reckless? Shwewuji raised the cup in his hand and moved his head closer to Yun Chujo. He said with a bit of charm, "Little beauty, it's okay if you don't want to give up your skull. How about we make friends?" Shadow Agent Hua Hua was almost scared to the ground. "Young master, did you forget to bring your brain when you went out today? Make friends? Who would dare to make friends with you? With your temper showing at the slightest disagreement, even if you had 100 lives, it wouldn't be enough for you to kill. Okay." Yun Chujo looked at Shwewuji's slender phoenix eyes and giggled foolishly. "You're really quite good-looking. However, I, Yun Chujo, am not easy to befriend. You have to provide me with spirit stones, buy me delicious food, and even give me spirit tools to play with when you're free. Can you bear to do all that?" The corner of Shwewuji's eyes twitched a few times. Then, he sat up straight as if nothing had happened. "How difficult is that? As long as it's something that can be done with money, it's not a problem for me. However, I came out in a hurry this time and didn't bring many spirit stones with me. I'll give it to you next time." Shadow Agent Hua Hua secretly pursed his lips. "Young master, that's enough. Everyone knows you're famous for being stingy. You were generous with treating yourself, but when it came to others, you're stingy." Yun Chujo slammed the table. "Are you fooling around? If you're not bringing the precious items with you, are you leaving them for others to steal? If you don't take out 10,000 low-grade spirit stones today, get lost from my sights." Shwewuji narrowed his eyes and took a deep breath. He clenched his fist and then loosened it. It was not easy for him to suppress the thought of slapping Yun Chujo. Then he actually poured out a pile of shiny spirit stones from his storage ring. Yun Chujo saw the spirit stones and her attitude immediately changed. "Red-clothed, Brother Wuji. As the old saying goes, it's always a pleasure to have friends coming from afar. Your afterlife is filled with great fortune. It's my honor to be able to be friends with you. Come drink." Shadow Agent Hua Hua was dumbfounded. Fuck, what happened? How did this little girl suddenly change from a shrew to an innocent and charming little girl? Xue Wuji was stunned for a moment. Then he drank the wine in his glass in one gulp. Little Sister Jiao is really a straightforward person. What's the point of drinking without eating? Come, I have some good wine and dishes here. Xue Wuji took out a plate of delicious dishes from his storage ring. Are you expecting payment for this? Yun Chuzhou was obviously afraid of debaiming, so she asked if he wanted money. Xue Wuji was stunned for a moment, and then said, "Of course I don't want money. You're really generous." Yun Chuzhou picked up her chopsticks and drank the food and wine one mouthful at a time. "Brother Wuji, come you eat too," Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Xue Wuji picked up his chopsticks and casually ate a few mouthfuls. Then he watched Yun Chuzhou eat. His eyes revealed a trace of unnoticeable pride. Chapter 251. What's his relationship with you? Little Black and the Silver Dragon also wanted to eat, but they were sent flying by Yun Chuzhou's slap. Get lost. I haven't had enough. You're really in the way. Yun Chuzhou simply put Little Black into her spirit beast bag, and the Silver Dragon morphed into a rolling pin. Brother Wuji, isn't there 2 little dishes? There should be 4 dishes and 1 soup. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes and said with a smile. Xue Wuji gritted his teeth and took out 3 dishes and 1 soup from his storage ring. Then, he picked up his chopsticks and began to eat quickly. However, his chopsticks did not even get a chance to touch the first dish. A glimmer of light flashed in Yun Chuzhou's eyes. As she ate, she muttered, "Brother Wuji, eat slowly. It won't be good if you accidentally choke to death." Xue Wuji was so angry that the veins on his forehead popped up. He took a deep breath and pointed at the first dish. "Little Sister Jiao, eat more of this. This is snow clam meat. It's very good for girls. It's specifically beneficial for your appearance." Yun Chuzhou nodded. "Brother Wuji, you have some too. Although you're pretty, you're still a little worse off than me. If you eat more, you might be able to catch up with my beauty." The shadow agent had a look of disdain. "Damn it, little girl. Do you know what it means to know your own limits? You don't even have the complexion or T figure. How can you be more beautiful than our young master? Are you that shameless?" Xue Wuji could see the bottom of the plate of snow clam meat, so he asked casually, "Little Sister Jiao, how are you fine after taking the aging pill previously?" Yun Chuzhou looked a little confused, and then she answered with a straight face, because I threw it up later." Xue Wuji raised his eyebrows and asked, "What's the relationship between you and debaiming?" Yun Chuzhou's eyes were a little dull, and she answered mechanically, "Debaiming is my enemy. I want to kill him." Xue Wuji frowned and asked again, "Why did you two become enemies?" "Because he covets my beauty and wants to take advantage of me. I want to kill him. I must cut him into pieces." Yun Chuzhou became increasingly agitated as she spoke. Then she fell to the ground with a bang. Apparently, she had fainted from drunkenness. The corner of Xue Wuji's eyes twitched. He glanced at Yun Chuzhou, who was lying on the ground. Then, he raised his hand and put it down before saying to the black-clothed man behind him, "Go." Even though the black-clothed man had a stomach full of questions, he did not dare to question Xue Wuji's decision. He followed Xue Wuji and left. After the two of them left Spirit Radiance sect, Xue Wuji smiled sinisterly. "Hua Hua, why didn't you ask you why I didn't kill that Tang girl?" "I dare not. Young master naturally has his reasons for doing this." The black-clothed man proceeded to curse in his heart. Last time he had said too much and he almost made him commit suicide. How would he dare to ask more? TSK, how boring. If that expressionless man discovers that the little beauty he covets actually likes me, don't you think it would be very interesting? Xue Wuji took out a skull and started playing with it. "Young master, I don't think debaiming would fall for that tan girl, right? She's so tan and boring. Why would debaiming fall for her? Could it be that she's lying to us? She took the truth-telling pill. It's impossible for her to lie. No matter what the reason made debaiming interested in her, I must have that little beauty in my hands. She actually dared to call me black chicken. Little beauty, it'll make you regret coming into this world." The skull in Xue Wuji's hands turned into powder. The black-clothed man shivered. This time the young master was really angry. That Tan girl was really too mean. Inform Jiao Jiao to withdraw. That expressionless man's subordinate spiritual power is too low. Don't try to overreach oneself. Yes. The black-robed man felt that his heart was calm. Compared to the name Jiao Jiao, Hua Hua was still acceptable. Chapter 252. Xue Wuji visited again, damn it. This red-clothed pervert is really hard to deal with. If it wasn't for my quick wit, I'm afraid I would have choked my farts. Yun Chuzhou opened her eyes. How could she still be drunk? Master, how did that red-clothed pervert know that we're related? The little black bird was released from the spirit beast pouch. How would I know? I'm afraid that there's a mole within the gigolo's ranks, or that someone is following him. However, he wants to trick me with that idiot chicken. It's simply a dream. I'll play him to death. Yun Chuzhou pouted and stood up. Master, since you're pretending to be drunk, why don't you just say that you have nothing to do with the gigolo? Little Black asked in confusion. Seeing that red-clothed pervert asked me that, I'm afraid he has some confidence about it. If I completely deny it, it'll make him suspicious. It's better to teeter between reality and a lie so that he can't figure it out. Master, will he still come to find trouble with us? Of course he will come. However, since he didn't make a move just now, he must have other plans. When the time comes, I'll just have to counter his moves. I don't believe that I can't defeat that chicken. I'll skin him alive and make a small fortune. His poison is a great tonic for me. Yun Chuzhou yawned. She put the spirit stones into her storage ring and went back to her room to sleep. Little Black looked at the mess on the stone table and said, Master, to put it nicely, you're open-minded. To put it bluntly, you're heartless. How can you fall asleep in this state? I'm so worried. A day after, Xue Wuji visited again when Yun Chuzhou was taking a walk in the yard. Little sister Jiao, big brother is here to see you. Yun Chuzhou stepped back with a surprised look. So I wasn't dreaming that day? Did we really drink together? Xue Wuji sat on the stone bench as if he was familiar with her and smiled. Of course it's true. Didn't you say that you already considers me a friend? Yun Chuzhou said timidly, then you want kill me and take my skull, right? Of course not. We're friends now. Xue Wuji had some doubts in his heart, but when he saw Yun Chuzhou's reaction, he thought to himself, this little girl was so bold last time. It seemed that she was truly drunk, so her words must be undoubtedly true. When Yun Chuzhou heard Xue Wuji's words, she immediately jumped over. Brother Wuji, since you're really befriending me, are you here to send me spirit stones and delicious food again? Xue Wuji gritted his teeth. Didn't I already give you 10,000 spirit stones last time? Yun Chuzhou pouted. Brother Wuji, I originally thought that you were much stronger than Di Biming. I didn't expect you to be so stingy. You're really disappointing me. That expressionless man gave you spirit stones? How much did he give you? Since he coveted my beauty, he naturally had to curry favor with me. Not only did he give me spirit stones, he gave me a lot of delicious food too. For example, steamed white dace fish, braised sword-bristled pork ribs, shrimp and pastries. He has always been very generous to me. However, I don't like his expressionless face. Otherwise, I would have listened to him. Yun Chuzhou sat on the stone bench, crossed her legs and said. When Xue Wuji heard the names of these dishes, it was really not something that the people of Qingxian continent could make up. It seemed that Di Biming, that expressionless guy, had really invested a lot in this little girl. How could he be inferior to him? Little sister Jiao, you did the right thing. I'm telling you, that man is gay. It doesn't mean he fancies you just because he's being nice. He definitely has some unspeakable intentions toward you. It's just spirit stones and delicious food, right? I have plenty of them. In the future, feel free to ask me for them. Chapter 253. I'll play you to death, Brother Wuji. Do you know Di Biming? Yun Chuzhou almost burst out laughing. If the gigolo knew that someone said he was gay, he would probably be so angry that he would hit his head against the wall. Of course I recognize that inexpressive man. Keep these spirit stones. If you run out of flowers, ask me for more. Shui Wuji changed the topic without batting an eyelid. Yun Chujo looked at the pile of shiny spirit stones on the ground and said with a smile, Brother Wuji, the storage bags given out by my sect are too small. Can you give me a few storage bags? Yun Chujo took out the storage bag given by the sect and said with a look of disdain. Shui Wuji's eyes flashed. Little sister Jo, I see that you don't have any spiritual power. How do you use the storage bag? Yun Chujo said mysteriously, Brother Wuji, I'll let you in on this secret. Actually, I have the thunder root spirit so I can cultivate. As for why others can't tell the presence or level of my spiritual power, it's because I obtained a spirit concealing pill and can hide my spiritual power after consuming it. Thunder spirit root? It's a very rare spiritual root. Does that expressionless D-Biming know about this? Shui Wuji was very surprised even though he had already guessed that Yun Chujo had spirit energy. After all, without spirit energy, it was impossible for an immortal item to recognize her as its owner. However, her having the thunder root spirit was a little surprising. I can't be bothered to tell him, but he should have partly figured it out by now. Yun Chujo said disdainfully. Yun Chuji's disdainful expression pleased Shui Wuji. Shui Wuji took out a small ring from the storage ring and handed it to Yun Chujo. Little sister Jo, take this storage ring. This one is worth hundreds of storage bags. Shadow Agent Hua Hua rubbed his eyes and scratched his ears. My God, young master. Are you crazy or stupid? That was a storage ring with its own hidden attribute. How many people were there in the Tianyuan continent who could not even buy a high-grade spirit tool even if they were rich? And you're giving it to this tan girl just like that. Are you still the stingy young master that I know? Brother Wuji, this storage ring is too valuable. What if someone tries stealing it? It's better for you to give me a few storage bags. Although Yun Chujo said so, she clenched the storage ring tightly and had no intention of returning it to Shui Wuji. Shui Wuji naturally picked up on Yun Chuji's minor actions. Not only was he not disgusted, he even felt like he had found a kindred spirit. Little sister Jo, you don't have to worry about this. As long as you refine the ring, it can be hidden as you wish. Really? It's so magical? Brother Wuji, you're really too generous. Yun Chujo pretended to be a country bumpkin who had never seen the world before. But in fact, she was extremely happy in her heart. Little fellow, do you think you can fool me? I'll play you to death. Of course. Although this storage ring is worth millions of high-grade spirit stones, our friendship is priceless. In the future, if that expressionless man comes back, I'll help you deal with him. Yun Chujo nodded repeatedly. The two of them chatted for a while, and then Shui Wuji left with Shadow Agent Hua Hua. Hua Hua. What do you think of that little girl? Young master, I think that little girl is very greedy. She's also very impulsive. I can't see any other characteristics aside from that. You're right. I have the best experience in dealing with these type of people. All I need to do is spend some spirit stones and give her some good food. Young master, since this little girl is so easy to deal with, why didn't D-Biming take her down? Besides, with D-Biming's spiritual power, it's really easy to subdue her, so why let her rebel? TSK. Hua Hua, you don't even know. D-Biming, that inexpressive man, can't even speak. How could he make a young girl like him? As for why he didn't make a move, I'm afraid he just wanted to have some fun. After all, getting a person's heart is more challenging than anything else. Shadow Agent Hua Hua was speechless. Young master, is being so narcissistic good for you? According to what I know, there are more women who like D-Biming in the Tianyuan continent than people like you. Someone who acts recklessly. Chapter 254. The lightning did not come with good intentions this time, young master. Although you want to bribe that little girl, you wouldn't go so far as to give her such a valuable storage ring, would you? Shadow Agent Hua Hua could not resist and asked courageously. Shui Wuji sneered a few times. After I'm done using that little girl, I'll kill her. At that time, that storage ring will be mine again. Everything in there will also be mine. How can I invest in a business that will not bring me benefit? Shadow Agent Hua Hua was enlightened. Young master is really wise. Shui Wuji laughed arrogantly. Humph, she's just a little girl, so I can easily toy with her. I'm not like that Biming. He can't even deal with a little girl after such a long time. What a waste. Shadow Agent Hua Hua nodded repeatedly, but there was a strange feeling in his heart. Could that little girl really be that simple? How can our young master handle someone so easily when even Biming couldn't? At the same time, Yun Chuzhou was refining the storage ring. After a while, she began to show off happily, little black little flame. Am I that good at deceiving people? That Wuji still wants to use me to deal with the gigolo. PFTT. With his coquettish appearance, he's not even as pleasing to the eye as a gigolo. He wants to use me? I'll play him to death. Master. That red-clothed pervert doesn't look like he's easy to talk to, but he went ahead and gave you such an expensive storage ring. Could it be a trap? Little Black blinked its possessed eyes and said suspiciously. Yun Chuzhou pouted. SK. He probably wants to exploit me entirely before taking back the ring. Even the heavenly lightning can't kill me, and he wants to kill me? Dream on. Just as Yun Chuzhou finished her sentence, the originally clear sky gradually darkened. Yun Chuzhou raised her head to look. Thick dark clouds was gathering in the sky. The dark color looked very scary, and there were even faint rolling thunderbolts. Little Black, I'm afraid it's not going to be good this time. Go into the spirit beast pouch. I'm afraid that you won't be able to withstand the intensity this time. Yun Chuzhou faintly felt a trace of unease. This kind of perception of danger allowed her to avoid countless life and death situations in her previous life, so she trusted her intuition. Little Black also felt a sense of suffocation and obediently hid in the spirit beast pouch. Yun Chuzhou also put the rolling pin and a few defensive spirit tools into her storage ring. She was afraid that the heavenly lightning this time would be too overbearing and hurt innocent people, so she ran into the depths of the back mountain. Master Xianyuan and the others naturally realized this phenomenon. Master, a large amount of dark clouds have gathered at the back mountain of Middle Peak. There are faint traces of lightning within. I'm afraid that the heavens can no longer tolerate Yun Chuzhou. Master Xianyuan was on a fence. Should he save her or not? If he did not save her, he would have to just watch as Yun Chuzhou was killed by the heavens. He really could not bear it. He had to save her. How could the strength of a mortal withstand the power of the heavenly lightning? Master Xianyuan thought for a moment with a serious expression, then said, Everyone wait here. I'll go and check on Yun Chuzhou's situation. If anything happens to me, you'll choose a new sect master according to the sect's tradition. Sect master? No. Everyone immediately stopped Master Xianyuan when they heard him say this. Sect master, you're the sect master. How can you put yourself in danger? Yun Chuzhou is from my Middle Peak. I'll go. Peak Master Yu summoned his spirit sword and was about to ride it to the back of Middle Peak. Elder Qi said loudly, Peak Master Yu, stop. I'll go. My spiritual sense has long been damaged, and it will only be a matter of a few years. Why don't I do something for the sect? Elder Duanmu shouted loudly, Everyone stop. Listen to me. Don't interfere in this matter. How can you and I bear the power of the heavens? This matter can only be borne by Yun Chuzhou herself. Even if we helped her to endure this time, every advancement in the future will be punished by the heavens. Can we help her to endure that? If she can endure it, it'll be her good fortune. If she can't, it'll also be her fate. When everyone heard Elder Duanmu's words, they remained silent. He's right. Even if we help Yun Chuzhou this time, what about the next time? What about the following events? If we want to grow, we have to go through trials and tribulations. Yun Chuzhou, will you defeat the heavens and fate? Chapter 255. You are destroying the ecological balance. Notify everyone that they aren't allowed to go near Middle Peak's back mountain. Those who violate the sect rules will be punished. Also, notify the people from the Middle Peak's kitchen to immediately stay away from the back mountain. Also, strengthen the patrols around the sect to prevent other forces from probing. After Master Xianyuan thought it through, he immediately ordered go. The disciples of Spirit Radiance sect had also sensed an unusual aura. Even some of the disciples with low spiritual power felt a little breathless. What on earth was going on? If it was a cloudy day, why were there only such thick dark clouds gathered behind Middle Peak? Why was the sect forbidding them from approaching the back area? Yunchu and the others did not see Yunchujio. They ran to Yunchujia's dormitory to look for her. When they saw that she was not in her dormitory, they thought that she had gone to Elder Chi's place. Only then did they retreat to a safe area with ease. After a quarter of an hour, several purple heavenly lightning bolts began to fall from the clouds. One after another. The booming sound was deafening. It was the first time that everyone had seen such a marvelous scene. Interesting. Do you think that these heavenly lightning bolts are striking something? It shouldn't be, right? Even if a mighty figure ascends to the heavenly tribulation, there should only be 9 heavenly lightning bolts, right? I think there has been more than 30 heavenly lightning bolts. With such a dense amount of heavenly lightning bolts, the back of the mountains probably has hold in it already. Then what's going on? Why would such a dense amount of heavenly lightning descend for no reason? Who knows? Let's just watch the show. No matter what happens, it has nothing to do with us little shrimps. Unlike the idle masses, Master Xianyuan and the others were extremely worried. Could Yun Chuzhou withstand such a dense amount of heavenly lightning? The purple heavenly lightning was comparable to the lightning of tribulation. If it was anyone else, they would not even be able to withstand 7 bolts. What was more, a dozen bolts? It seemed that the heavens had given up on killing Yun Chuzhou, this heaven-defying existence. Everyone could not help but sigh. Who would have thought that the most useless Yun Chuzhou actually had the most heaven-defying heavenly lightning root spirit? However, would Yun Chuzhou be able to survive? At that moment, Yun Chuzhou was like a rabbit being chased by a dog at the back of the mountain, constantly shuttling through the forest. Those purple lightning bolts continuously struck the trees, and the low-level demon beasts there ran down the mountain like crazy. Yun Chuzhou dodged while cursing. You damned little loaches, you're destroying the ecological balance, do you understand? You've already cut down the trees. How are these little creatures going to survive in the future? You're really heartless. I'm embarrassed for you. Shameless. I'm talking about you guys. It's fine if you chop me up for no reason, but why do you always come to gang up on me? If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one. Do you think I'm afraid of you? I've eaten too much, so I'm just going to play with you guys. Since you're rushing to your death, then come. I'll wait for you. Yun Chuzhou was a typical loser who could not lose. Even though she was hiding in an extremely sorry state, her mouth was not idle. She annoyed the dark clouds in the sky. Strike. Strike with all your might. The clouds will not disappear until the scourge was rid of. An hour later, Yun Chuzhou found that the forest had been hacked into charcoal, and she could not run anymore. The dark clouds in the sky twisted a few times proudly, and the purple lightning struck down even more densely. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes. For now, she could only rely on the strange grass in her dantian. It was not her time yet, so she could not choke on her farts. Therefore, Yun Chuzhou ran as she communicated with the strange grass in her dantian. Chapter 256. Was like a balloon. Yun Chuzhou talked to the strange grass in her dantian. Go Wei Ba. This is a great opportunity. Save up all the dense heavenly lightning. After I survive this round, I'll advance to the 6th level of spirit enhancement. When the time comes, I'll refine even more advanced medicinal pills for you. Go Wei Ba, we're now on the same boat. My host's body is choking on its farts, and you won't live either, so you better buck up. Go Wei Ba, I see that you're usually pretty awesome. Don't tell me you can't even deal with these little purple loaches? The strange grass in her dantian shook violently, probably conveying that it looked down on the purple heavenly lightning bolts. Yun Chuzhou instantly felt a lot more at ease. Although the strange grass was a ticking time bomb, it would at least protect her before trying to fatten her up with nourishment. Yun Chuzhou felt confident in her heart, and she immediately started showing off. Hey, I'm tired from running, so I'm just going to sit here. If you have the ability, then strike me. If you don't dare to do so, then you're a bastard. As Yun Chuzhou said that, she actually sat cross-legged on the ground, looking as if she was ready to be struck by lightning. The dark clouds in the sky began to churn violently. Several purple bolts of lightning gathered into 5 huge bolts of lightning as thick as a wrist, and struck down violently at Yoon Chujio. Yoon Chujio could not help but feel her scalp go numb. In the past, one such bolt of lightning could strike her no problem. However, with these 5 bolts of lightning, she definitely would have to get her hair messy. If other people knew what Yoon Chujio was thinking at that moment, they would definitely be angered to death. At that point in time, she was still thinking about her hair. The most important thing right then was to save her life, alright? The 5 huge bolts of lightning were like 5 purple lightning dragons, ferociously pouncing toward Yoon Chujio. Yoon Chujio made up her mind. At most she would die. Perhaps with this strike, she would have transmigrated again. This time she had to arrange a good family for her. If she was not going to be a princess, then at least let her date one. Just as Yoon Chujio's thoughts were running wild, 5 bolts of lightning had already struck her. Yoon Chujio could not help but let out a miserable cry. Fuck! It hurts so much. Her body seemed as though it was about to explode. All her limbs and bones were occupied by the ferocious power of lightning. The power of lightning kept crashing into Yoon Chujio's meridians. Yoon Chujio's body was obviously rapidly expanding. At that moment, only Yoon Chujio's brain was functioning. At that moment she thought miserably, it's over. I'm like a balloon now. When it reaches a certain level, I'm going to explode. Dead without a complete corpse. The dark clouds in the sky shook with pride. Little fellow, let's see how you'll stagger when going up against the heavenly lightning. It'll definitely strike you into ashes. Boom! 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 The dark clouds continued to ceaselessly strike. Yoon Chujio felt that she was going to be doomed this time. Although the strange grass in her dantian was trying its best to absorb the lightning in her body, it could not withstand the continuous lightning strikes from the dark clouds in the sky. Just as it absorbed a portion of it, a large amount of lightning power surged into her body. She was only flesh and blood. How could she withstand such violent lightning power? Master, let me out. I'll help you absorb some. Little Black shouted from inside the spiritual beast pouch. It's useless even if you come out, Little Black. It's different this time. Why should you sacrifice your little life? Besides, we signed an equal contract. If I die, you'll be free. Yoon Chujio said with a bitter smile. I'm willing. Stop talking nonsense. Let me out quickly. Little Black kept banging its head against the spiritual beast pouch, as if it would kill itself if it was not let out. Chapter 257. Debeiming, stop. Yoon Chujio was touched when she saw the little black bird's actions. Little Black, you're so kind. I won't bully you anymore. Every time I tricked you to go out for a walk, I was actually secretly eating good food. Little Black was stunned. Was it too late to regret? Such a heartless master. If it died, it died. So be it. After Little Black was released, the dark clouds immediately realized that this was another scourge. Several purple lightning bolts struck toward Little Black. After swallowing a few bolts, the little black bird could not take it anymore. After all, it was still a young bird. To be able to swallow a few bolts of lightning was already extremely heaven-defying. Little Black's feathers began to fall off quickly. If they fell off, it would not be able to resist the lightning at all. The rolling pin in the storage ring shouted anxiously, Master, let me out. I might be able to help you block it after I transform. Nonsense, after you transform, you're just a mortal weapon. These purple loaches can split you into pieces in an instant. Wait patiently. I won't die so easily. Yoon Chujio said as she put Little Black into her spirit beast pouch. Master, why did you put me back? Let me out. Why would I let you out? To make you become a bald chicken? Don't worry, a scourge like me won't die. Although Yoon Chujio's tone was light, the skin on her body started to bleed. Yoon Chujio felt that her consciousness started to become a little blurry. She could not even feel the pain in her body anymore. She allowed the power of lightning in her body to continuously crash into her meridians. Why did the heavenly lightning not strike her again? Yoon Chujio forced herself to focus. She saw a white figure standing in front of her. Both of his hands were continuously forming seals. Gigolo? Was she hallucinating? Yun Chujo bit her tongue. Her mind became clearer. When she took a closer look, she saw that it really was de-biming. De-biming was continuously forming seals to resist the heavenly lightning that struck down on her. Yun Chujo still remembered the last time she was struck by heavenly lightning. De-biming kept dodging it comically. Was he stupid? He actually took the hit for her. Cough cough. Yun Chujo spat out a mouthful of blood and said weakly, Gigolo, get lost. I can do it myself. De-biming did not stop forming seals and snorted coldly. How dare you scold me, black thing? I won't forgive you. Your mortal body is still useful. Even the heavenly lightning can't take you away. Even if I'm dead, you can still drain blood from me. They're coming for me. Get lost. Yun Chujo did not know where her strength came from, but she struggled to stand up and ran a few steps to the side. Then she shouted to the sky, Bastards, heavenly lightning. I'm here, strike me. If you don't, you're a coward. The heavenly lightning immediately changed its target and struck at Yun Chujo. De-biming gritted his teeth and rushed over. Black thing, are you courting death? De-biming blocked Yun Chujo behind him again and kept forming seals to resist the heavenly lightning. And Feng and An also rushed over at that time. The three of them protected Yun Chujo in the middle and dispersed most of the heavenly lightning. The power of the heavenly lightning was not something a human could resist. An and Feng were soon knocked out. Fortunately, the target of the heavenly lightning was clear. Seeing that the two of them had fainted, it did not bother with them anymore. De-biming's white clothes had been torn into wisps, and his hair had turned into charcoal. His hands were moving slower and slower, and blood began oozing out from his eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. De-biming. Stop. I don't need you to care about me. Get lost. Yun Chujo shouted at the top of her lungs as blood and tears flowed from her eyes. Chapter 258. Even the heavens are not allowed to touch my person, cough cough. Black thing, shut up. Even the heavens are not allowed to touch my person. De-biming spat out a mouthful of blood, and then increased the speed of his seal formation. The dark clouds in the sky was also furious. Where did this idiot come from? He actually dares to help Yun Chujo fight against us? He's really courting death. Kill him. Although De-biming's spiritual power was superb, his spiritual power was suppressed in the Qingxian continent. Hence, he was already at the end of his rope at that moment. He was completely relying on his will to hold on. After another round of lightning strikes, De-biming spat out another mouthful of blood. His body started to shake, but his hands were still forming seals, protecting Yun Chujo behind the barrier. Yun Chujo jumped forward and her palm landed on the back of De-biming's neck. De-biming was solely focused on holding off the heavenly lightning when Yun Chujo hit him. His body went limp and he fell to the ground. Yun Chujo was a bloody person as her body was covered in blood. She moved forward with difficulty, then straightened her body and laughed at the sky. Strike me. You can continue to strike me. I'm here. Come strike me. When the heavenly thunder heard Yun Chujo's clamor, it immediately struck at Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo was initially standing, but soon sat on the ground before falling over. Even so, Yun Chujo continued to provoke the heavenly thunder. You useless little loaches. So many bolts of lightning still can't kill me. You're really useless. Are you all old, weak, sick, and disabled? What a bunch of weaklings. If you have the ability, then just keep attacking me. Let's see who will have the last laugh. You weaklings. The reason why Yun Chujo was so arrogant was to attract all the heavenly lightning to her side. No matter what, she could not let the gigolo die because of her. The blood on Yun Chujo's body dyed the ground red. Yun Chujo felt that her life force was gradually dissipating. Was she really going to die this time? Yun Chujo's consciousness began to slip. Scenes from the past flashed in her mind. Her grandfather, who loved her deeply, her brother and sister who valued their family, and her gigolo who was hard-mouthed but soft-hearted. Seeing that, the dark clouds in the sky could not help but become even more arrogant. Bolts of lightning struck down one after another. You heaven-defying scourge. You're dead for sure this time. Yun Chujo's eyes suddenly shone brightly. No, she could not die. She had not fulfilled her promise to protect the Yoon family. She had not found her missing foster parents. She had not even asked her gigolo to kneel down and sing for her. Regardless of whether it was thunder or landmines, Yoon Chujio would never yield. Yoon Chujio suddenly sat up and began to meditate with her legs crossed. Since the thunder root spirit in her body wanted to push her to her death, then she would refine all of it. Let's see whether you'll kill me or I'll absorb you. Yoon Chujio sealed all her 5 senses and completely immersed her consciousness in her meridians, constantly refining the violent thunder root spirit power in her body. The sky gradually darkened, but the thunder still had not ended. The rumbling sound was like heavy hammers hitting the hearts of Master Xianyuan and the others. It has been nearly 6 hours. The heavenly lightning hasn't ended yet. Does this mean that Yoon Chujio is still alive? Elder Chi's voice trembled slightly. It must be so. Otherwise, the heavenly lightning would have dispersed long ago. Yoon Chujio actually withstood the lightning strikes for 6 hours with the strength of a mortal. This is simply unbelievable. Elder Duanmu, logically speaking, shouldn't this heavenly tribulation gradually strengthen along with Yoon Chujio's cultivation? Why is this heavenly tribulation so overbearing when Yoon Chujio has just started cultivating? Master Xianyuan asked in puzzlement. This, I have no way of knowing. However, if she can endure it, her future is bound to be limitless. She'll definitely become a prodigy of Qingxian continent. Elder Duanmu said in a deep voice. Chapter 259 was getting livelier. Another 4 hours had passed, and the lightning strikes were still ongoing. Master Xianyuan and the others could not sit still and kept looking toward the back mountains of Middle Peak. It's been 10 hours. Even a mountain would be flattened by the lightning strikes. Besides, Yoon Chujio is just a mortal. Could it be that we've made a mistake and that these heavenly lightning bolts aren't actually going for her? Elder Shao said with a frown. There wouldn't be such a large-scale purple heavenly lightning storm other than to wipe out the heavenly root spirit. Even a mighty figure who's about to ascend can only withstand 9 heavenly lightning bolts. Even if a unique legendary practitioner was born, there would only be a few heavenly lightning bolts at most. Elder Duanmu said with certainty. But how did Yoon Chujio withstand so many heavenly lightning bolts? This is too unbelievable. An elder asked in puzzlement. I'm also very curious. If this little girl really can endure it, I'll definitely ask her face to face. She has always been eccentric, so maybe she has some tricks up her sleeve. Elder Chu said while stroking his beard. Let's hope that she can endure it. Even 10 hours of heavenly lightning can't even kill her. Such tenacious willpower is rarely seen in this world. She'll definitely have extraordinary achievements in the future. Yeah, let's not talk about anything else. Her heavenly root spirit is set in stone. When the time comes, she will amaze the entire Qingxian continent. She might even become the youngest descendant in the Qingxian continent. Just as Master Xianyuan and the others were discussing, Yoon Chujio's location had already been hacked into a huge deep pit. In the center of the pit was Yoon Chujio, who was meditating with her legs crossed. Not far away from her was the unconscious Di Biming. Yoon Chujio's body was undergoing a huge transformation. The tyrannical lightning spirit force in Yoon Chujio's body was forcefully smoothed out by her divine sense and continuously flowed into her dantian. Another leaf grew out of the strange grass and it was devouring the lightning energy that Yoon Chujio smoothed out. Yoon Chujio's meridians had been expanded to twice their original thickness, and they were getting stronger and stronger. Even if the lightning continued to pour in, they would not break. Finally, most of the lightning that Yoon Chujio had accumulated in her body had been devoured by the strange grass. Yoon Chujio suddenly opened her eyes. If someone saw Yoon Chujio's eyes then, they would definitely be shocked. This was because Yoon Chujio's eyes were filled with purple lightning. After a moment, Yoon Chujio's eyes returned to normal. She stood up, looked up at the sky and smiled brightly. Little Loach, I survived. If you have any other abilities, just come at me. I still have to thank you. If you didn't rush to your death, how could I cultivate so quickly? Come on. Continue to strike me. Come on. Don't strike me one by one. You guys are still gathered together. I'll take care of you together. If you don't strike me, then you admit that you're just shameless bastards. The dark clouds in the sky was dumbfounded. What was going on? Was this scourge not about to be struck to death a couple moments ago? Why was she still alive and kicking? Strike. Strike. Strike her to death. Streaks of purple heavenly lightning struck toward Yoon Chujo once again. Not only was Yoon Chujo not struck to death, she was even giggling. Good strike, good strike, good strike. I'm laughing out loud. You're thinking that my cultivation speed is a little slow, so you want to lend me a hand, right? You guys are really good at helping others. The dark clouds in the sky were getting increasingly disheartened as they struck her. The more they struck, the more hopeless they felt. Oh heavens, oh earth. Who can tell me why is this scourge getting livelier? The dark clouds was finally so angry that it rained heavily before drifting away with a look of despair. When Yoon Chujo saw that the dark clouds had finally drifted away, she let out a long sigh. Then she turned her head to look at Dee Biming beside her. Then her nose started to bleed. Chapter 260. Ugh, how dizzying! Dee Biming's clothes were all turned into rags by the lightning. Yoon Chujo, the small perverted wolf, immediately had a nosebleed when she saw that. Yoon Chujo was really big-hearted. Even after going through such a monumental transformation, she was still lustful enough to have the intention to take advantage of Dee Biming. She stretched out her perverted claws and wanted to pull away the rags that were in her way. At that moment, Dee Biming opened his eyes, and the poor Supreme Emperor's nose starting bleeding. Yoon Chujo saw that Dee Biming had woken up, so she sheepishly retracted her claws and said, "Prince Charming, you're awake? I was just about to help you up." Dee Biming's face turned red, and he quickly closed his eyes and said, "Why don't you have your clothes on? You're akin to a black bean sprout, and you're actually trying to seduce me." Yoon Chujo was stunned. Then she looked down and was doubly stunned. She was worse than a gigolo. Yoon Chujo quickly took out a set of clothes from her storage ring and put them on hurriedly. When she turned around, she saw Dee Biming trying to put his clothes on with his mouth and teeth because his hands and feet were stiff. They were not cooperating at all. When he saw Yoon Chujo looking at him, he became even more anxious. In the end, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Dee Biming did not have Yoon Chujo's weirdly extraordinary body. Previously, he had completely exhausted his spiritual power and suffered serious internal injuries. It was good enough that he could preserve his life. How could he be as lively as Yoon Chujo? Dee Biming took out a porcelain bottle from his storage ring. Yoon Chujo helped to pour out a few pills and stuffed them into Dee Biming's mouth. Dee Biming swallowed the pills. Although he no longer spat out blood, his hands and feet still were not responding. Yoon Chujo saw the situation and immediately smiled with ill intentions. She began to admire the handsome man openly. Dee Biming's head had been zapped bald by the heavenly lightning. However, not only was it not ugly, but it also added a mysterious aura. Looking at it made Yoon Chujo's claws itch. Dee Biming's face turned red. "Black thing, turn around for me." Yoon Chujo pouted. Although she turned her body around, she angled her head back and stared at Dee Biming lecherously. "Turn your head around too." Dee Biming was so angry that he gritted his teeth. The black thing was really shameless. Yoon Chujo shrugged her shoulders and said lightly, "Prince Charming, don't blame me for not reminding you. In a while Master Xianyuan and the others will come. Do you want those old men to admire your strong body?" Dee Biming's face stiffened and he gritted his teeth. "Black thing, come and help me put on my clothes." Yoon Chujo turned around and hugged her shoulders. She shook her legs and said, "I'll reluctantly help you put on your clothes. However, don't you think we should talk about the cost? As the saying goes, brothers always settle their debts. This is one thing, so you can't let me work for free, right?" Dee Biming was so angry that he almost spat out another mouthful of blood. He gritted his teeth and said, "How much do you want?" "You know my price. It's 2,000 spirit stones. I think your clothes are quite complicated. I'll give you a set price of 10,000 spirit stones. How about it?" Isn't it expensive? Yun Chujo said with a smile. Deal. Di Biming was so angry that the veins on his forehead popped up. Black thing, just you wait, I won't forgive you. Yun Chujo quickly helped Di Biming put it on. Of course, during the process of putting it on, she could not help but take advantage of him and said a few flirtatious words. The miserable lord fainted once again. Yes, he fainted from anger. Chapter 261. Chopping board. Yun Chujo was stunned. The gigolo was so easily abashed. I didn't say anything controversial. What a shy and innocent young man. Yun Chujo looked up. She still did not know how to ride a sword, so how was she going to fly up? She could only wait for Master Xianyuan and the others to come and save her. If they asked the pretty boy and the others about their identities, how was she going to explain it? The rolling pin said from inside the storage ring, Master, I'll take you guys out of this hole. Yun Chujo took out the rolling pin doubtfully. Then she asked with a confused look, how are you going to do that? You want me to carry the gigolo and stand on you with 1 feet? The rolling pin quickly became longer and wider. Then it said proudly, Master, after your spiritual power increased, I advanced too. I can now become big. The corner of Yun Chujia's eyes twitched. Well, it was an upgrade. The rolling pin had become a large chopping board. Yun Chujo did not have the time to complain. She carried Di Biming on her shoulder, and then stood on the chopping board. The rolling pin swayed and flew up. Soon it flew to the top of the deep pit. When Master Xianyuan and the others arrived and saw the scene below, Yun Chujo had a bald head and a bald man on her shoulder. She stood on a chopping board and emerged from the ground. Yun Chujo bared her white teeth at everyone. Master Xianyuan, this is a natural disaster, not a man-made disaster. You won't make me pay for it, right? The corners of everyone's mouths twitched. They never thought that Yun Chujia's first sentence would be this. Master Xianyuan coughed dryly. Of course I won't make you compensate me. Who are you carrying on your shoulders? This is my savior. I don't know him either. You can ask him when he wakes up later. Yun Chujo said with a confused look. She wondered to herself where Enfeng and Yin were. When everyone heard this, they immediately made up their minds. No wonder Yun Chujo could endure the heavenly lightning for 10 hours. It turned out that she had the help of an expert. Elder Chu looked curiously at the chopping board under Yun Chujia's feet. Little girl. What is this? Yun Chujo was amused. Remember the rolling pin that my master gave me? Once my spiritual power leveled up, it becomes more capable too. Yun Chujo yawned. Sect Master, I'm hungry and tired now. Can we talk about this tomorrow? Besides, I have an injured person here. Master Xianyuan nodded. Leave him to me. I'll bring him back for treatment. Yun Chujo shook her head. Before this benefactor fainted, he told me to guard him at all times. He saved my life, so I naturally can't go against his will. Just give me a couple bottles of good medicinal pills to treat his internal injuries. The corners of Master Zuanyuan's eyes twitched slightly. He took out a porcelain bottle from his storage ring. This is a 6th-grade muscle revitalization pill. It has a miraculous effect on internal injuries. Take it. Yun Chujo took the porcelain bottle and put it in her pocket. Then she carried Di Biming and flew away on the chopping board. Everyone looked at Yun Chujia's back with a dumbfounded expression. They were all riding swords, alright? This Yun Chujo was riding a chopping board. Everyone naturally gossiped for a while. However, after the person in question left, everyone started leaving too. They were planning to ask about Yun Chujia's situation in detail the next day. Yun Chujo had just carried Di Biming to the dormitory when Enfeng and Yin appeared from the shadows. When Yun Chujo saw their appearances, she almost fell off the chopping board. Well, those two were also bald. Chapter 262. The deity is asleep. Enfeng and Yin were only knocked out by the lightning, so they did not suffer any serious injuries. Therefore, when they realized that someone was coming, they quickly stuck a concealment talisman on them and retreated. Fortunately, Master Xianyuan and the others only paid attention to Yun Chuzhou, so they did not notice them. And Feng and Yin, your new hairstyle is quite cool. Yun Chuzhou jumped down from the chopping board and said with a smile. The corner of Feng's eyes twitched. Miss Zhou, is our revered sir all right? Don't worry. It's not a big problem. He only suffers some internal injuries. His limbs are stiff and he vomited a few mouthfuls of blood. Yun Chuzhou carried Di Biming and walked into the house with a valiant spirit. And Feng and Yin looked at each other. It was that bad and she thinks there's no big problem? Miss Zhou, you really have a heart of stone. Our revered lord gave up his life for you. And you're treating our revered lord like this. Yun Chuzhou carried Di Biming into the house and placed him on the bed. She pursed her lips and said, Prince Charming, how long do you want to pretend? I know that you've long woken up. Di Biming opened his eyes and coughed dryly. He said weakly, nonsense, I have only just woken up. Yun Chuzhou saw that his injuries were not light, so she did not hold him to it. Do you still need to eat any other pills? Take them out and I'll feed them to you. Yun Chuzhou lit the candle as she spoke. Then she turned around and looked at Di Biming. Di Biming looked at Yun Chuzhou in a daze. Previously, at the bottom of the pit, the light was dim, so he did not pay much attention to it. After the black thing was struck, she had turned much fairer. Even if she did not have any hair, it did not change her delicate facial features. A pair of big, watery eyes were looking at him. She pouted her pink lips and looked at him in confusion. A certain someone's face turned red. He said awkwardly, no need. I want dye. Yun Chuzhou mumbled in confusion. It's not hot in this room. Why is your face so red? What nonsense are you spouting? Quickly turn off the lights and go to sleep. Di Biming gritted his teeth and shouted. Yun Chuzhou cursed in her heart. This damn gigolo, her impression of him was much better, but he was acting up again. He really deserved to be beaten up. Now that you can't move your hands and feet, let's see how I can deal with you. Prince Charming, you have to wash up before you go to sleep. We were caught in the rain just now, so it would be nasty if we didn't wash up. Wait a minute. I'll go get hot water. In a while, I'll personally help you wash up. Yun Chuzhou emphasized the last two words. Poor lord. The red tide that had faded from his face surged up once again. A beautiful scene appeared in his mind once again, and he could only roar angrily, I want bathe. I'm sleepy. I'm going to bed. After Di Biming finished speaking, he lied to himself and closed his eyes. Yun Chuzhou smiled evilly and hopped out to get some hot water. Not long after, Yun Chuzhou came back. She took out a large wooden bucket from her storage ring. The bucket was already filled with warm water. Prince Charming? Prince Charming. Are you asleep? Yun Chuzhou moved closer to the bed and called out a few times. Di Biming closed his eyes and ignored her. Tisk, looks like he's really asleep. Guess I'll just shower myself. Yun Chuzhou smiled and started to take off her clothes. Then she stepped into the bathtub. Scrub-dub-dub. Please take mine and bring it back to me. If you eat mine, spit it out for me. Yun Chuzhou happily hummed a little song while playing with the water. The sad Supreme Emperor laid on the bed. His face turned even redder when he heard the sound of Yun Chuzhou in the water. Chapter 263. Could it be a sequela of the lightning strikes? Di Biming could not help but spit at himself. What was there to think about when she was just an unattractive and uninteresting black bean sprout? Even if he wanted to, he should think about what the black thing would look like when she grew up. Di Biming inexplicably recalled that Yun Chuzhou once said suffocate you to death while talking about her chest, and immediately blood flowed out from his nose. Yun Chuzhou had been staring at Di Biming, and when she saw this situation, she could not help but giggle. Prince Charming, is that the aftermath of the lightning strike? Why is your nose bleeding all the time? Are you going to bleed to death? Di Biming could no longer pretend to sleep, and he said angrily, I've been taking in too much supplements recently, that's why my nose is bleeding. What's the big deal? Yun Chuzhou pouted. No wonder you haven't been here recently. So you've been secretly eating some good stuff. After Yun Chuzhou said that, she felt that the sentence sounded wrong. She seemed to be a little jealous, so she quickly added, actually, it's okay if you don't come. I've met a fool recently whom I've cheated. Beiming snorted. Must be that idiot Shuewuji. You're asking a tiger for its skin. Stay away from him from now on. Huh? How did you know? Yun Chujo asked curiously. I naturally have a way to find out. Aren't you afraid that he'll kill you? Shuewuji is famous for being temperamental and ruthless. You actually dared to trick him. Once he finds out, he wouldn't spare you. Beiming easily avoided Yun Chuji's question. Yun Chujo pouted and said, I have no choice. That black chicken's spiritual power is very high. I can run away from the monk, but I can't run away from the temple. Naturally, I have to think of a way to fool him. Oh, by the way, what's the relationship between the two of you? Black chicken. Beiming was stunned at first and then laughed out loud. He overexerted and accidentally exacerbated his internal injuries, coughing for a long time before he recovered. Cough cough. Good. Black thing, that nickname is good. That idiot matches the name Black Chicken perfectly. Prince Charming, then are the two of you friends or enemies? Don't tell me you're good friends who are in a love-hate relationship? Yun Chuji's eyes flashed with a gossipy light as she asked curiously. Of course we're enemies. That idiot keeps trying to defeat me. It's simply a fool's dream. Oh right, what does good friend mean? Yun Chujo did not dare to tell the truth, so she said vaguely, good friend just means good friend. Oh no, the water is all gone. I have to hurry out and put on my clothes. Yun Chujo came out of the bathtub nonchalantly, wiped herself with a towel, and then began to slowly put on her clothes. This girl thought that since the gigolo's neck could not move, there was nothing to be afraid of. Who would have thought that after Beiming took the pill, his neck could rotate slightly? Beiming subconsciously turned his neck and yes, dyed the pillow with blood again. Beiming wanted to turn his head away, but his neck could not move at this time. Coincidentally, when Yun Chujo looked up, she saw Beiming staring at her with a bloody nose. Yun Chujo was also stunned. Although she was quite thick-skinned, she could still be embarrassed. Yun Chuji's face was flushed red. She put on her clothes and pretended to be calm. Prince Charming, if you want to see, just say it. Why did you have to sneak a peek? Beiming felt that that day was the saddest day in his life. His face turned red and then white. He gritted his teeth and said, why would I sneak a peek at you? I was just looking at the bathtub. Your bathtub is quite special. Chapter 264. Just you wait. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes and smiled evilly. Prince Charming, since you like this bathtub so much, it'll help you get a closer look at it. Beiming suddenly had a bad feeling. Yun Chujo picked up Beiming and threw him into the bathtub. Cough. Cough. Black thing. Why you're rebelling? This isn't right. Just you wait. I won't forgive you. Beiming choked on water and gritted his teeth in anger. Beiming was really angry, but at that moment he had no other way to express it other than using words. Yun Chujo leaned on the side of the bathtub and said with a smile, Prince Charming, you've misunderstood me. You were drenched in the rain earlier, so it's good to soak in the bath to get rid of the cold. Besides, don't you have a mysophobia? Your body is covered in blood and dirt. That must be uncomfortable. Beiming choked. What the black thing said made sense. If he did not wash up, it would indeed be uncomfortable. However, he was not stupid. He knew that Yun Chujo was deliberately messing with him. He gritted his teeth. Forget it. He may be controlled by someone then, but he would endure it first. In the future, when he has recovered, he would look for this black thing to settle scores. Yun Chujo was so smart. Even if she used her feet to think, she could guess what Beiming was thinking. However, as the saying goes, drink till you're drunk. Since Beiming could not do anything to her then, she naturally had to make good use of the rare opportunity to vent her anger. The gigolo had scared her a lot in the past. Finally, it was her time to breathe a sigh of relief for the great days to come. It was not easy. She was very proud in her heart, and her face could not help but show a little bit of pride. Seeing this, Beiming became more and more frustrated and stopped talking. She rolled her eyes and stared at Beiming's new hairdo. She said with a smile, my Prince Charming, your new hairdo is very shiny. There's no need to light candles in this room anymore. With us two bald heads, there will be enough light. Tisk tsk. My Prince Charming, I have to say that you're really good looking. You're so good looking even without your hair. My Prince Charming, why don't you keep it like that in the future? It'll save you a lot of trouble and looks good on you. When Di Biming heard Yun Chujo praising him so much, he could not help but feel a little smug in his heart. His anger had dissipated a little. He thought to himself to forget it. Seeing that the black thing spoke well, he reluctantly forgave her for throwing him into the bathtub. Just as he was thinking about it, he heard Yun Chujo say, "Oh man, the water in this bathtub is cold. Let me help you change it." Yun Chujo took out a new bathtub as she spoke. Then, she picked up a certain someone and threw him into the new bathtub. The certain someone could not help but choke on a few mouthfuls of water. He immediately threw his previous thoughts to the back of his mind. This black thing really deserved to be taught a lesson. After changing the water a few times, Yun Chujo finally showed mercy and pulled Di Biming out of the bathtub. She still had some integrity. She did not help Di Biming change his clothes. Instead, she used her spiritual power to help him dry his clothes. Of course, this fellow was actually afraid of provoking Di Biming. It would be bad if he vomited blood again. Even so, he was still a little uncomfortable as his ears were always red. Black Thing Jo was also a little uncomfortable. When she was drying her clothes, she started to brag about how she had tricked Xue Wuji. Although Di Biming did not want to listen to that Xue Wuji nonsense, he cooperated and chatted with Yun Chujo in order to divert his attention. Chapter 265. My life will be different from now on. Yun Chujo tidied up the bed before placing Di Biming on the outer side of the bed. She straightened out the bed and climbed to the inner corner. Di Biming saw that she was mumbling something and frowned. Black Thing, what are you talking about? Are you secretly scolding me? Yun Chujo pouted and thought to herself, so what if I'm scolding you? You're now a paper tiger. You can't do anything to me. However, when she thought of what happened during the day, she turned around and looked at Di Biming with bright eyes. Prince Charming, how can I do such an ungrateful thing? Alright, why did you decide to save me? Di Biming raised his eyebrows. I've mentioned before that your blood is useful to me. Hasn't it been a year? Your illness should have been cleared, right? I don't think you need my blood anymore. Yun Chujo blinked her eyes. Di Biming snorted awkwardly. Although the poison has been cleared, your blood is very beneficial to me. Naturally, I can't bear to let such a precious spiritual herb like you die. Oh, so that's how it is. I thought you liked me. Thank goodness. If you really liked me, I'd still. Yun Chujo did not complete her sentence. Instead, she laid back on the bed disappointedly and did not speak anymore. When Di Biming saw that Yun Chujo did not speak anymore, he felt extremely uncomfortable. What did the black thing want to say next? In the end, Di Biming could not help but cough dryly and said, You'd still Yun Chujo said gloomily, I'm sleeping. Di Biming choked and snorted coldly. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Stop daydreaming. Why would I like you? Humph. Yun Chujo did not say anything. She cursed in her heart. What an annoying gigolo. If you don't like me, then don't. What's the big deal? If it wasn't for the fact that you worked so hard to save me, I wouldn't have bothered to talk to you. A gigolo like you begging me on your knees. Actually, I can still consider it. Seeing that Yun Chujo did not speak, Di Biming felt a little regretful in his heart. However, since he had already said it, he naturally did not have the reason to take it back. He added awkwardly, actually, you've become a lot fairer now. Ever since Yun Chujo came back, she had not looked at herself in the mirror. When she heard Di Biming say that, she immediately climbed down from the bed, lit a candle, and ran in front of the mirror to take a look. Oh my, who is this little beauty in the mirror? Mirror, mirror, quickly tell me. Who is the most beautiful person in Spirit Radiance sect? Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo is the most beautiful person in Spirit Radiance sect. Yun Chujo pinched her throat and answered herself. She usually never asked others for help when she could do things on her own. Therefore, she did not feel embarrassed at all even when she was playing two roles. The corner of Dee Biming's eyes twitched slightly. Was the black thing going crazy? Yoon Chujio wiggled in front of the mirror and praised herself a bunch before returning to the bed. Prince Charming, let me tell you. It's useless even if you regret saying that you like me now. The current me is different from the past. I was almost mesmerized by my own beauty. In the future, those who pursue me will probably line up from Spirit Radiant Sect all the way to Yi City. I Yoon Chujio now have both beauty and spiritual power. La la la, my life will be different from now on. Yoon Chujio said proudly. Chapter 266. Who are you trying to scare, Humph? You're just slightly better and suddenly you become most beautiful person in Spirit Radiant Sect? How shameless. I've never seen someone as thick-skinned as you. Dee Biming's heart ached when he thought of other men approaching Yoon Chujio. So what if I'm thick-skinned? What does it have to do with you? From now on, I'll be the most beautiful person in Spirit Radiant Sect. Humph. You. Dee Biming was so angry that he almost fainted. He said angrily, black thing, in the future, I'll kill all the men who approaches you. I'll see who dares to come near you. Humph. Then I'll go and look for Brother Wuji. Brother Wuji isn't afraid of you. Brother Wuji was quite generous with me. And he's better looking than you. Yoon Chujio said proudly. Good. I knew that the relationship between you and that red-robed fool was not that simple. Black thing, it's best if you kill me now. Otherwise, when I'm better, I'll definitely kill you and that red-robed fool with my own hands. Dee Biming's eyes were red, and he was obviously extremely angry. Yoon Chujio shrugged her shoulders. TSK, who are you trying to scare? If you have the ability, then hurry up and get better. Otherwise, when you're done, Brother Wuji and I will have long been together. When Dee Biming thought of Shue Wuji hugging Yoon Chujio, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The black thing is mine. Anyone who dares to snatch her from me will die. If Shue Wuji was in front of him right now, he would probably want to slap him to death to vent his anger. When Yoon Chujio saw that Dee Biming was so angry that his facial features were almost deformed, she felt a trace of guilt in her heart. The gigolo was a wounded man, and he was injured because he saved her. Was it not a little too much for her to say that? Just as Yoon Chujio was about to say something to ease the tension, Dee Biming gritted his teeth and said, Black thing, do you think that I'm angry because I care about you? In fact, I just don't like my things being touched by others. There are many women who like this venerable self, and there are countless women who are more beautiful than you. I've not visited in such a long time because I went back to pick myself a concubine. The women in Tianyuan continent are much more outstanding than you. They're both beautiful and virtuous. When they heard that I was going to pick my concubines, all of them cried and begged me. Dee Biming's words stopped abruptly because he was kicked off the bed by Yoon Chujio. Although a certain supreme being did not fall or got hurt, he was kicked off the bed by someone. That really hurt his self-esteem. However, there was nothing he could do. One could imagine the anger and grievance in his heart. Yoon Chujio angrily spread a few quilts on the ground and then put Dee Biming on it. Shut up. Otherwise, I'll sew your mouth shut with a needle and thread. Black thing, how dare you? Dee Biming hated the fact that there was nothing he could do. Otherwise, he would definitely strangle that black thing to death. I have to say it. Some of those women were fat and some were skinny. They come in all sizes. But one thing's for sure, they are much stronger than your black bean sprout. And Dee Biming could not continue because in a moment of desperation, Yoon Chujio had used her mouth to block Dee Biming's mouth. Both of them were stunned. Yoon Chujio felt so stupid. Dee Biming seemed to have opened the door to a new world. For a moment, the temperature in the room seemed to have risen by a few degrees. After a while, Yoon Chujio returned to her bed dejectedly and covered her head with the blanket. Damn, that was so embarrassing. I actually forced myself to kiss a gigolo. Chapter 267. I am thick-skinned. Dee Biming, who was on the ground, was also stunned. It was a really strange feeling. For a moment the room was quiet. Neither of them spoke. Cough. Cough. Don't think too much. I just wanted to stop you from talking. Yoon Chujo stuck her head out from under the blanket and said in a slightly panicked manner. Dee Biming snorted coldly. I was just thirsty. After such a long time you didn't even feed me a mouthful of water. How clumsy. Didn't you drink a few mouthfuls of bath water just now? Yoon Chujo thought of Dee Biming's miserable appearance and giggled happily. Dee Biming's face stiffened and he gritted his teeth. Go ahead and be cocky now, black thing. When I recover, we'll see how we'll deal with you. Yoon Chujo made a face. We have to live in the moment and enjoy it while it lasts. Anyway, you can't do anything to me now. I'm warning you, you better behave yourself or ill. Yoon Chujia's eyes lit up when she said this. This idea was not bad. If the gigolo left in the future and she ran out of money, she might be able to make a small fortune by selling her paintings. The more Yoon Chujo thought about it, the more she felt that the idea was pretty good. She made up her mind then. Dee Biming thought that Yoon Chujo was just saying it and did not take it to heart. The next morning, Yoon Chujo stretched her body, got off the bed, and jumped to Dee Biming's side. She said with a smile, Good morning, Prince Charming. Dee Biming opened his eyes weakly and did not speak. Yoon Chujo was stunned. She reached out and touched Dee Biming's forehead. It was boiling hot. Only then did Yoon Chujo realize that Dee Biming was lying on the ground pitifully last night. He did not even have a blanket on him. Yoon Chujo felt a little guilty. It seemed that she had gone too far to treat the wounded like this. Prince Charming, I'm so sorry. Come on, just sweat it out. Yoon Chujo carried Dee Biming to the bed, and then covered Dee Biming with layers of blanket. Dee Biming felt that he would be tortured to death by Yoon Chujo sooner or later. Are you covering me with quilt, or trying to bury me alive? Dee Biming exerted all his strength and shouted, Black thing. Cough cough. Do you want to suffocate me to death? Yoon Chujo realized that she was in such a hurry that she had covered Dee Biming's head as well. She quickly saved Dee Biming's head from the blankets. I'm sorry. I don't have any experience, okay? Once you get sick a few more times in the future, then you'll have more experience. Yoon Chujo said with a dry smile. Dee Biming felt his vision go black. He gritted his teeth and said, Are you cursing me to get sick frequently in the future? Yoon Chujo smiled widely and used her hand to support Dee Biming's chin. Prince Charming, you'd better not provoke me this time. Dee Biming's face turned red. Stop. You have no sense of shame. You're shameless. Yoon Chujo smiled lecherously. I am thick-skinned and I am shameless. What can you do about it? Yoon Chujo bent down and was about to walk over. Thump, thump, thump. Dee Biming's heart started beating faster. Chapter 268. The seeds of love seemed to have sprouted. Dee Biming waited for a long time, but Yoon Chujia's lips did not fall. He opened his eyes and saw Yoon Chujo hugging her shoulders and looking at him with a wicked smile. Prince Charming, what's with your squinted eyes? Do you think it's a pity that I didn't kiss you? Dee Biming was so angry that he was seeing stars. His face flushed red before turning pale. Black thing, you am thick-skinned and I don't know shame. Am shameless, am I not? Am a female hoodlum and a little pervert. Am warning you. You better listen to me or else. I'll do anything. Yoon Chujo thought to herself that since she had already touched and kissed him, why should she feel wronged? Gigolo, from now on I'll be the master. The pitiful lord had never seen such a thick-skinned girl. It was as though his worldview had been shifted. Besides being angry, he also felt that the black thing was really baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It was quite interesting. The pitiful emperor felt that he had most likely been struck dumb by lightning. Although Yoon Chujia's words were fierce, she still used warm water to gently wipe Dee Biming's face. She also fiercely forced Dee Biming to get a sumptuous breakfast from his storage ring and fed it to him. Dee Biming was already severely injured. With the addition of the cold, he finally fell into a deep sleep after all that. Yoon Chujo sat by the bed and looked at Dee Biming's handsome face. She was a little lost in thought. Yoon Chujo recalled what happened the day before. When she was at her most helpless and desperate moment, the gigolo appeared as a protector. He would willingly be struck to death to protect her. Yoon Chujo admitted that she was moved. Although she had never been in a relationship and did not know what love was, at that moment, Yoon Chujo felt that the seed of love seemed to have sprouted. That was why she asked Lee Biming half-truthfully why he would save her. That was why when she heard Lee Biming say that she, who had always been fearless, felt a little disappointed. That was why she deliberately mentioned the red-robed pervert to anger Lee Biming. That was why after their fight, her lips and tongue became entangled with Lee Biming's. Yoon Chujo was not a pretentious person. She that since that's the case, then she should let nature take its course. After all, she was still young. If the gigolo had the patience to wait for her to grow up, she would give him a chance. At least, cough, cough. This gigolo's figure was quite attractive. After Yoon Chujo figured out her thoughts, she secretly kissed Lee Biming's face. TSK, how could this gigolo's skin be so nice? However, why was it still so hot? It was not burnt, was it? Yoon Chujo thought for a moment and took out a dagger. She cut her finger and dripped the blood into Lee Biming's mouth. After a while, Lee Biming's face gradually returned to normal and his forehead was not hot anymore. Yoon Chujo could not help but laugh at herself. Her blood really had a miraculous effect on the gigolo. Yoon Chujo took out a scarf and wrapped it around her head, leaving two tails of excess cloth behind her head as she hopped out of the house. Miss Jo, how is our honored lord? And Fong and An In saw Yoon Chujo coming out and quickly went up to her. Yoon Chujo immediately smiled and bent her back when she saw the two of them. The two of them each took a piece of cloth and wrapped it around their heads. Just like Yoon Chujo, they also left two small tails behind them. Haha, do you two have to follow me like this? Oh my god, it's so funny. Yoon Chujo was so happy that she almost rolled on the floor laughing. And Fong and An In's eyes twitched violently. Miss Jo, how did we become like this? It was because we saved you. How could you laugh at us so shamelessly? You're too shameless. Chapter 269. As expected of the man that I, Yoon Chujo, have taken a fancy to. Yoon Chujo finally stopped laughing and said, His Highness was too tired yesterday. He's catching up on his sleep now. I'm going out for a while. You guys take good care of the house. Yoon Chujo did not want An Fong and An In to know that her carelessness had caused Lee Biming to catch a cold. However, she did not know that her words had caused An Fong to misunderstand. After Yoon Chujo left, An Fong had a gossipy look on his face. Didn't our esteemed lord lose control of hands and feet yesterday? Why is he so tired? An In ignored him, thinking that sooner or later, this annoying fellow would be taught a lesson by their esteemed lord. Yoon Chujo, who was jumping toward the meeting hall, sneezed violently. She thought whether it could be that the gigolo had woken up and was talking about her. They had only been apart for a short while, and he was already thinking about her. She was so charming. Yoon Chujo shamelessly fantasized for a while before she finally hopped into the meeting hall. In the meeting hall, Master Xianyuan and the others were like the Amaroks when they were stretching their necks to look outside when they finally saw Yoon Chujo hopping over. When everyone saw Yoon Chujo's appearance, they were also stunned. Last night, the wind was high and the sky was dark. In addition, Yoon Chujo's face was dirty, so they did not pay too much attention to her. Now that they saw her, they were all extremely surprised. As expected, her fair skin covered her 100 other flaws. Although the little girl's skin had only turned fairer, she felt that her entire person had become much more beautiful. Little girl, quickly tell me, how did you escape those heavenly punishments yesterday? Elder Chu went to Yoon Chujo and asked curiously, Heavenly punishments? Yoon Chujo was not aware of the heavenly root spirit theory. In the principle of saying less and making fewer mistakes, and not moving if the enemy did not move, she tried to speak as little as possible. Oh right. You still don't know about this. Let me tell you then. You have a rare heavenly lightning root spirit. Those purple heavenly lightning bolts were meant to kill you by heavenly tribulation. Elder Chu told her everything. Yoon Chujo's heart skipped a beat. That was what it was. No wonder those heavenly purple lightning bolts were always chasing after her. It was the heavenly law that wanted her dead. Regardless of whether it was heavenly law or reality, my life is in my hands, not the heavens. No way you'll take my life. Little girl, tell me quickly. How did you survive the lightning bolts for 10 hours? Elder Chu asked again when he saw Yun Chujio in a daze. Yun Chujio giggled. Of course I had to run quickly so that they couldn't catch up to me. But I was soon knocked out by the lightning bolts. I don't know what happened after that. When I woke up, I saw my savior spit out a mouthful of blood. Then he instructed me to take care of him. After that, I flew out on the chopping board. Everyone felt that what Yun Chujio said made sense, but they still felt something amiss. Master Xianyuan asked again, and Yun Chujio said the same thing. Master Xianyuan could only ask, has your savior woken up? Can we meet him? The reason why Master Xianyuan was so polite was that first, that person had saved Yun Chujio, and second, that person's spiritual power was very high, so he naturally had to treat him politely. Yun Chujio sighed. He had a high fever last night, and he only fell asleep this morning. Let's wait for him to wake up. My savior suffered such serious injuries in order to save me, and he also caught a cold. I really feel bad about this. I wonder if any of you have anything nourishing in your possession? I'll take it to nourish him. Yun Chujio spoke with sincerity and even shed a few tears. Master Xianyuan and the others naturally would not reject her. They all took out what they had and gave it to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio laughed sinisterly in her heart as she made a small fortune. Gigolo, oh Gigolo, you're indeed the man that I, Yun Chujio, have set my eyes on. You can make money for me just by lying down. Chapter 270. Made everyone laugh. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and continued shamelessly, well, Master Xianyuan, there are so many things that I can't possibly carry them in my hands. Please give me another storage ring. The storage bag given by the sect is being used by my fourth brother. Master Xianyuan did not dislike Yun Chujio's insatiable greed. Instead, he asked in surprise, can you release your spiritual power? You're already at the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm? Yes, I can release my spiritual power. Yun Chujio answered vaguely. She thought to herself, I'm not deliberately hiding it. I'm afraid that telling you I'm at the 8th level of the spirit enhancement realm will scare you. Elder Shao frowned. Yun Chujio, are you lying? There's no spiritual power fluctuation on your body. How could you be at the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm? Everyone looked at Yun Chujio suspiciously. Even if some mighty figures could lower their cultivation level, or use some spirit tools to hide their cultivation level, no one had ever been able to completely hide the spiritual energy on their body. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Hearing is fictitious, seeing is believing. Everyone was stunned. What did she mean? Crack. Everyone was shocked. Yun Chujio raised her right hand, and a bolt of lightning struck an empty chair. The chair shattered into two. Crack. Yun Chujio struck another bolt of lightning, and the table beside her was also split into two. She frowned. After the strike, there was a burning smell. This was not good. If she did anything bad in the future, would everyone not suspect that she was the one who did it? However, she only used 50% of her strength this time. When there was no one around, she would test it again and try to make sure that it did not smell burnt. Yun Chujio had a few thoughts in her mind. Then she realized that the meeting hall was completely silent. Everyone had a dumbfounded look on their faces. Yun Chujio laughed dryly. Well, I've made a fool of myself. I've only learned how to strike. If I don't do it well, it'll definitely improve next time. Elder Chu jumped up with a roar. Little girl. Good strike. Good strike. Oh my God, this heavenly root spirit is indeed different. It really opened my eyes. The rest of the people also seemed to have woken up from a dream and sighed one after another. They looked at Yun Chujio as if they were looking at a peerless treasure. Is this move of mine very powerful? I see that other people's wind blades and fireballs are about equally as powerful. Yun Chujio asked weakly, but in her heart she thought, could it be that I've been exposed? It shouldn't be, I've clearly only used 50% of my strength. Haha. Haha. Our Spirit Radiance sect is about to produce a peerless genius. Little girl, although the power of your lightning strike is almost the same as those of the same level, this is a lightning strike. Regardless of whether it's a demon beast or a cultivator, how many of them aren't afraid of lightning strikes? Most importantly, all cultivators need to form seals before they can cast spells, and they also need to pause for a moment before they can cast spells a second time. However, as the spiritual power becomes more profound, the duration of forming seals and pausing changes. You just cast your spells 2 times in a row without any pause. Elder Chu was so excited that he was dancing with joy. He had completely forgotten how he called Yun Chujio unimportant during the entry test. Yun Chujio had an epiphany. It turned out that other people were using rifles and guns, but she was using a machine, a trap, and a gun. It seemed to be quite awesome. When other people were loading bullets, she could take advantage of the situation. Wow, just thinking about it was very satisfying, right? But why is there no spiritual fluctuation on my body? Yun Chujio asked in puzzlement. Although it was good to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger when sometimes it was quite troublesome to hide the truth. Chapter 271. Was the time to be proud? Everyone was also puzzled. Yun Chujio's situation was simply unheard of. Finally, Elder Chu took out a ring from his storage ring and handed it to Yun Chujio. This is a hidden spirit ring. It can hide one's true cultivation level and lower the spiritual power of the wearer. Try injecting your spiritual power and spiritual sense into it to see if it has any effect. Yun Chujio was such a shrewd person. It did not matter if it worked or not. If it was given to me, it would be mine. I'll refine it first. Thus, as if she did not hear Elder Chu's words, she directly refined the hidden spirit ring with a drop of blood. Elder Chu's eyes twitched and his beard almost stood on its ends in anger. I just asked you to try it. I'm not giving it to you just like that. Is it good for you to take other people's property like this? Master Xianyuan cursed silently at the side. Old Chu, oh Old Chu, you're still young. You'll only learn your lesson after being tricked by this little girl a few times. After Yun Chujio refined the hidden spirit ring, she began adjusting her spiritual power to the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm. Hey, look, it's effective. Yun Chujio's spiritual power is now at the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm. That's right. It seems like this hidden spirit ring is effective on Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was very satisfied with the function of the hidden spirit ring. It was simply a great tool to play the pig to eat the tiger. In the future, she would use it to trick people. What Yun Chujio did not know was that if an ordinary person wore the hidden spirit ring, only those who had lower spiritual power than the wearer would be deceived. If the other party had higher spiritual power than the wearer, it would have no effect. However, Yun Chujio was a weirdo. Even Master Xianyuan and the others could not see Yun Chujio's true spiritual power level at all. Yun Chujio tried to adjust her spiritual power level to level 3, 2, and even level 1. It worked every time. She sincerely thanked Elder Chu. Elder Chu was still a little unhappy at first, but after Yun Chujio said a few flattering words, he was beaming with joy. He immediately felt that the hidden spirit ring of his existed for Yun Chujio. It was simply a waste for it to stay with him. Master Xianyuan was watching the show from the side. Yun Chujio came up to him and said with a smile, Master Xianyuan, where is the storage ring that you promised me? The corner of Master Xuanyuan's eyes twitched slightly. He painfully took out a storage ring and gave it to Yun Chujio. After Yun Chujio refined the ring, she put all the items of nourishment she received into the storage ring and left with a smile. Wait! Yun Chujio, there'll be a new disciple trial in 3 days. Will you stay to take care of your benefactor? Or will you participate in the trial? Master Xianyuan said in a deep voice. Yun Chujio had really forgotten about the trial. Whether she could become little ancestor Yun would depend on this trial. However, the gigolo was seriously injured from saving her. If she abandoned him, it would seem a little unrighteous. Master Xianyuan saw that Yun Chujio was hesitating, so he said, you can think about it again. Once you've thought it through, come find me. Although everyone had high hopes for Yun Chujio's heavenly root spirit, they were still reluctant to let this little girl become little ancestor Yun, who had an extremely high seniority. They hoped that Yun Chujio would take the initiative to give up this opportunity, so they all kept quiet. Yun Chujio naturally understood their thoughts and nodded. Sect leader, I'll go back and think about it. If I make a decision, I'll look for you again. Yun Chujo walked out of the meeting hall and rolled her eyes. It was finally time for me, Yun Chujo, to be proud. Thus, she turned the rolling pin into a chopping board and flew up while standing on it. She was afraid that the others would not notice her, so she took the Scarlet Dawn silk that she had scammed from Du Gai of Heavenly Gate sect and swiped it around. Chapter 272. The deity is very pleased. The disciples of the Spirit Radiance sect quickly discovered the odd Yun Chujo flying in the sky. Holy shit! What the hell is flying in the sky? Ah, Yun Chujo. It's that little fire girl, Yun Chujo. Why do I feel that she's not quite the same as before? Ah, she's fairer. A lot fairer. Oh my god, how did she suddenly go from a useless person who can't cultivate to a 4th level spirit enhancement cultivator? That's not right. Didn't they say that only spirit cultivators can ride swords? How did she manage to do that? Fuck. Is that a chopping board under her feet? Has the chopping board in the Middle Peaks kitchen become a spirit? Yun Chujo was very satisfied to see the dumbfounded expressions on everyone's faces. She directed the rolling pin to fly around the entire Spirit Radiance sect. She even went to the Spirit Beast Garden on the West Peak on purpose. Hey old livestock friends. Did you guys cultivate diligently? Yun Chujo circled the mighty elephant's nest a few times, then waved her hands. The mighty elephants recognized Yun Chujo. When they saw that it was Yun Chujo, who they had not seen them for a few days, who not only had spirit energy but was also able to control objects and fly, they were all greatly encouraged. Even a little girl like her was able to turn things around. It looked like the little girl was right. They had to be prepared beasts. After Yun Chujo and a mighty elephants established a relationship, she went out and showed off for a while before flying back to the dormitory. My dear Prince Charming, are you feeling better? Did you miss me? Yun Chujo jumped to the side of the bed and touched Di Biming's forehead. Perhaps it was because of her blood, but Di Biming's fever had subsided and he was in a better state. Where did you go to be so cocky? Di Biming raised his eyebrows. Teske. Prince Charming, how can you say that? What do you mean by cocky? I'm just proud, okay? It's not easy for me to turn over a new leaf. Naturally, I have to announce it to the world. Yun Chujo felt that she was quite talented. The corner of Di Biming's eyes twitched slightly. You said a lot of things, but in conclusion, you're still cocky. Yun Chujo tugged at the corner of her clothes shyly. My idol, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let you, a wounded man, sleep on the ground yesterday. I didn't even cover you with a blanket. As the saying goes, if you admit your mistakes, then you're a good person. I promise I won't mistreat you anymore. Di Biming saw that Yun Chujo looked a little shy, so he could not help but think of last night's intimacy. His face also turned slightly red, and he coughed dryly. It's okay. I'm fine now. Seeing that Di Biming was so easy to talk to, Yun Chujo immediately wanted to do something to compensate him. So she said, Prince Charming, you've been lying on the bed all this time. Are you bored? I'll take you outside to breathe some fresh air. Yun Chujo did not wait for Di Biming's approval. She helped Di Biming put on his coat and carried him out of the house. And Feng, hurry up and get a reclining chair over. His Highness wants to bask in the sun. And Feng saw his esteemed self being carried out effortlessly by Yun Chujo. The corners of his eyes twitched slightly. This ninth miss was really fierce. It seemed that his esteemed self would be at her mercy in the future. Yun Chujo placed Di Biming on the reclining chair and said in a virtuous manner, Prince Charming, if you don't exercise, your muscles will atrophy. Let me massage you. Di Biming felt warm in his heart. Although the black thing was a little out of tune, she was still sincere to him. Yes, he was very pleased. Yun Chujo rubbed her hands and laughed dryly. Prince Charming, let's settle the scores. My fee is still the same as before. I'll charge you 2,000 spirit stones for 15 minutes. If you get the 15 minutes, I'll give you a 20% discount. Di Biming was speechless. Chapter 273. Come out. Shuewuji, the magnificent thought bubbles that filled Di Biming's head was immediately punctured by Yun Chujia's words. And Feng and An who were beside him, silently retreated. Miss Jo, oh Miss Jo. You're breaking ground above Tai Sui head and plucking the fur on a tiger's buttocks. Our Lord would lay down his life for you. You're gonna charge him for a little massage? And you're giving a 20% discount? Are you trying to court death? Our esteemed Lord will definitely go crazy. Di Biming's face turned green and white, and then vice versa. In the end he smiled and said, "Deal." And Feng and An were shocked. Has our esteemed Lord been struck dumb by lightning? Not only did he agree, he actually smiled. What's wrong with him? Yun Chuzhou was also stunned. She thought that the gigolo would definitely scold her for being shameless or something, but she did not expect him to agree so readily. Yun Chuzhou immediately smiled like a successful little fox and started massaging Di Biming. Di Biming closed his eyes and basked in the sun while enjoying Yun Chuzhi's attentive service. In his heart he was thinking about how to move back to the city. He could not move his hands and feet now. Even if he retaliated, he would be easily restrained by the Black Thing. I will endure. Black Thing, just you wait. It's not too late for this venerable self to get revenge. Yun Chuzhou did not know what Di Biming was thinking. She was like a hard-working bee, happily massaging Di Biming. After massaging him for a while, Yun Chuzhou touched her stomach and said sneakily, "Prince Charming, what shall we have for lunch?" Di Biming's eyes flashed. "I've brought a lot of new dishes this time, but what?" Yun Chuzhou felt that she could not control her saliva and asked impatiently. Di Biming curled the corner of his mouth. "However, the price is naturally higher. I'm afraid that you can't afford it." Yun Chuzhou was stunned and cursed in her heart. "What a stingy gigolo. I asked you for money because I'm poor. You're already so rich, but still scheme to gain what little money I have. How detestable." Yun Chuzhou pouted and said, "Hey, Brother Wuji wouldn't ask me for money. Why are you so stingy? Besides, I've helped you wipe your face, fed you and carried you out. I haven't asked you for money yet." Di Biming's face darkened. "Black Thing, I'm warning you. Stay away from that red-robed fool in the future. Otherwise, I won't forgive you." Yun Chuzhou pouted. "But Brother Black Chicken gave me delicious food. A ring and even spirit stones." Di Biming's eyes flickered. And then he said, "Black Thing, I was just teasing you. It's just some food, isn't it? I have plenty." Di Biming took out several plates of dishes from his storage ring, which were in sorts of colors, fragrance, and taste. There were even a few plates of exquisite pastries, which emitted a charming sweet fragrance. Yun Chuzhi's eyes lit up and her eyes instantly turned into the shape of a peach heart. She said obsequiously, "Prince Charming, I was just joking just now. That pervert in red is obviously not a good guy. Even if he gave me a mountain of gold and silver, I wouldn't even bother to look at him. Prince Charming, he can't even be compared to a strand of your hair. Tui, how could his black chicken head be compared to the wise and divine Prince Charming? You're the bright moon in the sky, and he's a weak little candle. You're the white snow at the top of the mountain, and he's the dung on the ground." The corners of Di Biming's mouth curled up, and then he said indifferently, "Shui Wuji, you've heard enough. Don't hide anymore. Come out." Chapter 274. Little Sister Jo was really humorous. Shui Wuji. Yun Chuzhou was shocked. She unconsciously got in front of Di Biming and blocked him. The gigolo's body was stiff all over. Would it not be easy for the red-clothed pervert to kill the gigolo? Di Biming's eyes warmed as he said indifferently, "Black Thing, get out of the way. Shui Wuji is a well-known figure in the Tianyuan continent. He's not going to take advantage of the situation." "Haha. Di Biming, you finally said something human. Of course I won't kick you when you're down. Besides, I wouldn't do that in front of little Sister Jo." Shui Wuji appeared and said. He had an evil smile on his face, but his hands were tightly clenched under his sleeves. "Very well, Yun Chuzhou. You actually dared to trick me." Di Biming's unexpressive face was the bright moon in the sky and the weak little candle? Di Biming was the white snow at the peak of the mountain and the dirt on the ground? So everything about him being the enemy and Di Biming coveting her beauty were all made up. They were all used to deceive me. Very good, Yun Chuzhou, just you wait. In order to not lose face in front of Di Biming, Shui Wuji simply swallowed his words. He clearly wanted to strangle Yun Chuzhou to death, But he talked and laughed as if nothing had happened. Shadow Agent Hua Hua also appeared. He cursed in his heart, "Our young master has been played by this little girl. I've told you, how can the person that Biming has his eyes on be so simple? Our young master's narcissism should be changed." Although Shui Wuji said it to Biming, his eyes were fixed on Yun Chujio. If eyes could kill, Yun Chujio would have died hundreds of times. If an ordinary person was caught red-handed, they would definitely feel awkward or guilty. However, Yun Chujio was obviously not an ordinary person. This fellow smiled brightly. "Brother Wuji, you're here? Did you bring me spirit stones again?" Everyone was dumbfounded. Yun Chujio's shamelessness was unrivaled. Shui Wuji gritted his teeth. "Little sister Jiao, didn't you say that you wouldn't even be interested if I gave you mountains of gold and silver?" Yun Chujio said confidently, "That's right. How could I like such common things like gold and silver? I like shiny spirit stones." Everyone was speechless. Shui Wuji was stunned for a moment before he laughed out loud. "Little sister Jiao is really witty. No wonder even Biming, who is famous for being queer, fell for you." Biming snorted coldly, "Don't spout nonsense. I'm just self-disciplined, unlike some people who go fooling around. I heard that you already have dozens of illegitimate children." Shui Wuji was so angry that he gritted his teeth. "Biming, you're spouting nonsense. You actually slandered me in front of little sister Jiao. What are your intentions, you gay man?" "I'm just speaking the truth. Who doesn't know that you're reckless? If there's a woman that you like, then go back to the palace with her." Although Biming's limbs were stiff, his aura actually faintly suppressed Shui Wuji. Shui Wuji was so angry that he laughed. His eyes turned as red as blood. "Biming, although I don't like to take advantage of others' misfortune, it's fun to do it once in a while. I'll kill you today." And Feng and Ayin quickly protected Biming and Yun Chujio. They were on alert. Biming laughed out loud without any signs of nervousness. "Shui Wuji, although I'm badly injured, I'm strong enough to topple you before I die. You can try." Chapter 275. I do not understand. Shui Wuji looked at Biming suspiciously. Could there be a trap? The day before, Spirit Radiance sect was bombarded with thunder. What exactly happened? Why did Biming get such a serious injury? Should he make a move or not? It's already noon. Are you guys hungry? Let's have lunch together. I'm starving. Yun Chujio did not seem to notice the imminent crisis. She sat down casually on the stone bench and looked at the delicious food on the table with drooling eyes. Shui Wuji had a few thoughts in his mind and then smiled wickedly. "I'm just joking. Little sister Jiao is right. The world is big, and eating is the most important. Eating is more important." Yun Chujio giggled. "Brother Wuji, come here. Don't be shy, eat more." Biming coughed dryly and glared at Yun Chujio unhappily. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart, "Gigolo, I'm just doing this all for you. No matter how powerful you are, you can't move your hands and feet now. If you fight, you'll definitely be at a disadvantage. Black thing, I'm hungry." Biming looked at Yun Chujio and Shui Wuji chatting happily, and he could not help but get angry. Yun Chujio quickly picked up a piece of meat and fed Biming. Then she continued to chat with Shui Wuji. "Black thing, a piece of meat isn't enough to fill the mouth. Continue." Biming said with a dark face. Yun Chujio could only continue to feed Biming. Naturally, she had no time to talk to Shui Wuji. Shui Wuji's mind was not on the food. He sneered, "Biming, little sister Jiao is as beautiful as a flower now, but you're addressing her as black thing. How rude." That's right. That's right. How am I very dark now? You should call me little beauty, little fairy, little baby, little sweetheart." Yun Chujio echoed from the side. Cough. Cough. Black thing, shut up. Biming almost spat out the food that he had just eaten. Yun Chujio curled her lips. What a boring old man. Shui Wuji was so happy that there was a rift between the two of them. He started to fan the flames. Biming, do you think little sister Jiao is your subordinate? You even ordered her to shut up. This is too much. Little sister Jiao, you don't have to be afraid of him. In the future you have a big brother to support you. If he bullies you, I will help you. Di Biming's eyes were about to spit fire as he glared fiercely at Xue Wuji. Xue Wuji was fearless as he continued, "Little sister Jiu, you are still young and don't understand some things. If you want to marry someone, you have to marry someone who treats you well. This guy always orders you around and enslaves you. How can he be your lover? If there's no comparison, you can't discriminate between good and bad. You can't sabotage yourself. You have to choose a few more people to compare with. For example, your brother, not only look better than this expressionless man, but I'm also generous to you. What do you think? Think about it." After Xue Wuji finished speaking, he looked at Yun Chuzhou with anticipation. Di Biming's eyes were also fixed on Yun Chuzhou. He had the intention of strangling Yun Chuzhou if she dared to agree. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes and said, "Brother Wuji, I'm still young. What nonsense are you talking about? I don't understand." Xue Wuji almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He had been talking for such a long time. Was he playing the lute to a cow? He was so angry. If it were any other woman, she would have thrown herself into his arms long ago. What an unromantic girl. Di Biming was very satisfied. Although the black thing was a little greedy and lecherous, it still had a clear stance on the important things. Not bad. However, Brother Wuji, what you said makes sense. Anyway, I'm still young. I can take my time picking out a husband. It's hard to find a three-legged toad, but there are plenty of two-legged people. Yun Chuzhou said casually. Chapter 276. Love and Kill. Di Biming felt his honor hurt a little. Black thing, what do you mean you still want to slowly pick? What are you still picking? You've already seen my body. You are already with me, yet you still want to pick others? You're really courting death. Yun Chuzhou was already immune to Di Biming's knife-like gaze and continued to eat happily. When Xue Wuji saw Di Biming's ugly expression, he calmed down a little and said with a smile, "Little sister Jiu, did your hair get struck by lightning?" "Exactly what happened yesterday." Yun Chuzhou giggled. "What about it? Are you thinking that our new hairdo is very shiny? Let me tell you, at night we don't even need to light candles in the house. Our bald heads lights up the room." The corner of Xue Wuji's mouth twitched. "You really make the best use of everything, little sister Jiu. How did you guys become bald? Didn't you already mention why?" "It was struck by lightning. Yesterday I went to the mountain to pick mushrooms. God had a stroke and started to strike lightning at us. I'm very timid. Although I have a thunder root spirit, I'm also afraid of being struck by lightning. Fortunately, my Prince Charming bravely appeared and saved me. Unfortunately, I was unlucky enough to be struck by lightning a few times and ended up like this." Yun Chuzhou spewed nonsense with a serious face. And Feng and An almost laughed out loud. The two of them were afraid of being discovered by Xue Wuji, so they quickly suppressed their laughter. "Miss Jiu is too good at making up stories. Picking mushrooms? Are you kidding me? You? Timid? Damn, I'm afraid that even if we add our courage together, we won't be as brave as you. Are you still afraid of being struck by lightning? You weren't even struck to death by lightning after 10 hours. Aren't you guilty of saying that?" Xue Wuji saw Yun Chuzhi's serious face and Di Biming's expressionless face, so he believed her. However, the lightning strike yesterday lasted 10 hours, and that was really strange. Could it be that some strange treasure appeared in Spirit Radiant Sex Mountains? Should not be. Even in the Tianyuan continent, there was no treasure that could attract lightning strikes for 10 hours. Xue Wuji could not figure it out, so he temporarily put the matter aside and continued to chat and laugh with Yun Chuzhou. It had to be said that Xue Wuji was indeed better at pleasing girls compared to Di Biming. Soon enough, Yun Chuzhou was giggling happily. Di Biming was so angry that he gritted his teeth. "Stop laughing. It's so unpleasant to hear. Little sister Jiu, don't listen to him. Your laughter is like a silver bell. It's very pleasant to hear. Little sister Jiu, some people are villains who beg for gratitude after retribution. You can't tolerate him just because he saved you." Xue Wuji continued to provoke him. He was simply enjoying himself, seeing Di Biming's face getting darker and darker. He felt a sense of accomplishment for stepping into D. Biming's territory. As expected, D. Biming's expression was extremely unsightly. Shwewuji, you've had enough. Shouldn't you scram? D. Biming, this isn't your territory. This is Spirit Radiance Sect, and its little ninth sister's courtyard. I can stay here as long as I want. What do you care? I will be staying here tonight. Little sister Jo, what do you think? Shwewuji looked at D. Biming provocatively. Everyone's gaze was focused on Yun Chujio, especially D. Biming, whose eyes flashed with a heavy warning. Yun Chujio was silent for a moment, and then she looked like she suddenly understood. Ah, so that's how it is. Brother Wuji, then you can stay here. I'll stay at my sister's place. Tonight, you can share a bed with my Prince Charming. You guys should keep in touch. No wonder you've been advising me not to be with Prince Charming. Turns out that the two of you are a couple. I'll fulfill your wish then. You two can be together tonight. I'll leave the house to the two of you. And Feng and Yin and Hua Hua. No one is allowed to enter the house at night to disturb Prince Charming and Brother Wuji's love. Do you hear me? The two of them have been love-hate relationship with each other for so many years. They don't get many chances to try each other out. There's no gender difference in love. You can't discriminate against them. Do you have red letters or red candles in your storage rings? Hurry up and make the arrangements. Today is their wedding night. Chapter 277. Coquettish Slut. The whole courtyard went dead silent after Yun Chujio said a bunch of things. Bleck. Bleck. That's disgusting. Shwewuji almost vomited. What a joke. Even if he was really gay, he would not choose someone with facial paralysis like D. Biming. Black thing. Shut up. Nonsense. What kind of nonsense have you been thinking of this whole time? You're still so young. Why don't you pick up the good stuff? If D. Biming had not lost his hair, he would have stood, rising along with his anger. And Feng, and Yin and Secret Agent Hua Hua were also shocked by Yun Chujio's shocking words. The three of them were completely dumbfounded, and Feng was the most active in his thoughts. He swept his gaze between Shwewuji and D. Biming. Although the ninth miss words were a little shocking, the relationship between His Excellency and Shwewuji were really unusual. The two of them had been fighting for so many years, but neither of them had managed to kill the other. Moreover, every time the two of them attacked, they could have killed each other with just a little bit of trickery, yet they still gave each other a chance to live. Could it be that they were really in love-hate, gay relationship as Yun Chujio had mentioned? And Feng shivered and did not dare to think further. He had been brought into a ditch by Yun Chujio. Little ninth sister, even if you don't want me to stay here with you, don't slander me like this. Besides, I like pretty little girls like you. Even if I was really queer, I wouldn't like someone with a paralyzed expression like D. Biming. Shwewuji glanced at D. Biming with disdain. Shwewuji, someone like you. Someone like this. Such a coquettish slut. Even if you were my subordinate, I still wouldn't take a fancy to you. In his anger, D. Biming borrowed the phrase that Yun Chujio had said, feeling that those two words were too compatible with Shwewuji. Coquettish slut? Shwewuji was simply furious. D. Biming, just because I'm not giving you a taste of your own medicine today, you think we can chit-chat? Shwewuji said as he threw a palm at D. Biming. Yun Chujio kicked D. Biming's reclining chair away, which allowed him to dodge Shwewuji's slap. Brother Wuji, a gentleman only fights with words. Come, have a fruit to calm your anger. Yun Chujio stood up and handed a spirit fruit to Shwewuji with a smile. Shwewuji's expression changed a few times. In the end, he took the spirit fruit from Yun Chujio's hand. D. Biming, I didn't expect you to rely on a little girl to protect you. What an eye-opener. Brother Wuji, what are you saying? It's clearly you who are unwilling to take advantage of others. What does that have to do with me? Such a talented and peerless figure like you naturally has a proud and unyielding character. Why would you do such a shameless thing like adding insult to injury? Yun Chujio said with a grin. Shwewuji was almost choked to death by Yun Chujio's words. He gritted his teeth and said, Little Sister Jo really knows how to talk. I think you should no longer be held back by Spirit Radiance Sect and leave with me. I'll take you around to enjoy the delicacies of the world. How about it? And Feng and An heard Xue Wuji's words and immediately became nervous. They took a few steps forward, afraid that Xue Wuji would snatch Yun Chuzhou away. Brother Wuji, your suggestion really isn't bad. Unfortunately, I'm too weak now. When I become stronger, I'll definitely travel with you. Yun Chuzhou did not seem to have heard Xue Wuji's subtext and replied in a serious manner. Little sister Jiao, you must seize the opportunity and come with me today. Xue Wuji sneered a few times and reached out his hand to grab Yun Chuzhou. Xue Wuji did not have An Feng and An in his eyes at all. Other than Di Baiming, there was no other opponent for this young master. As for Yun Chuzhou, she was even more of a piece of cake. If he subdued her, it would be equivalent to slapping Di Baiming's face. Then, he will see if this expressionless person still pretends. Chapter 278. Brother Wuji, please stay. Xue Wuji and Yun Chuzhou were very close to each other. And Feng and An did not expect Xue Wuji to suddenly make a move. It was too late for the two of them to save her. Just as Xue Wuji's hand almost touched Yun Chuzhou, she nimbly dodged his hand. Then she waved her right hand and a purple lightning bolt struck Xue Wuji. Although Xue Wuji was caught off guard, his spiritual power was still superb after all. He tilted his body slickly to dodge Yun Chuzhou's attack. Oh, little sister Jiao is really something. Xue Wuji's words stopped abruptly because he never expected that another purple bolt of lightning would strike. In his knowledge, a mere 4th-level spirit enhancement cultivator, who had just cast a spell, would need at least a few dozen or even 100 breaths before he could use the spell again. He never thought that Yun Chuzhou, this weirdo, could actually attack consecutively. Xue Wuji's left shoulder was struck by Yun Chuzhou. While Xue Wuji was still in a daze, An and An Feng blocked Yun Chuzhou and Di Baiming from the front. Xue Wuji was dumbfounded. I was injured by a 4th-level spirit-enhanced cultivator? If this were to be made known to the public, they would laugh their heads off. Just as Xue Wuji was still in a daze, Di Baiming suddenly said in a cold voice, Xue Wuji, Black Thing is my bottom line. If you don't want to cause more trouble in the Tianyuan continent, don't think about her in the future. Xue Wuji was stunned. The two factions had been at loggerheads for a long time, but that was the first time Di Baiming had said such harsh words. It seemed that he really had his heart set on Yun Chuzhou. Was Yun Chuzhou not just a greedy little girl? What was Di Baiming attracted to? Xue Wuji was stunned for a moment. Then he laughed out loud. I was just joking. Little sister Jiao is so cruel. She actually hurt me, her big brother. My heart hurts more than my shoulders. Brother Wuji, I just released my spiritual power and I couldn't control myself for a moment, so I couldn't aim accurately. I originally wanted to help you change your hairstyle, but I suddenly missed. I'm sorry. How about I try again? I promise I'll give you the same hairstyle as us. Yun Chuzhou raised her right hand, smiled widely at Xue Wuji. Xue Wuji shook his head like a rattle drum. No. This hairstyle is not suitable for me. Little sister Jiao, why can you use magic continuously? Yun Chuzhou had an innocent look on her face. I don't know either. Maybe God thinks I've been living too miserably in the past, so he decided to compensate me. Brother Wuji, it's getting late. Do you want to have sex with your Prince Charming or go back? Alright. Since little sister Jiao doesn't want me to stay, then I can only leave sadly. I'll visit you again in a few days. See you later. With Xue Wuji's shoulder hurting faintly in addition to Di Baiming's words just now, he decided to temporarily stop fooling around. Just as Xue Wuji and secret agent Hua Hua were about to leave, Yun Chuzhou shouted from behind, Brother Wuji, please wait. Xue Wuji's heart was filled with joy. I've mentioned it before. And much more alluring than that Di Baiming. This little girl must be regretting it, and she's probably trying to get me to stay. Little sister Jiao, you don't have to say more. My heart is broken. I have to leave today. Xue Wuji said in a pretentious manner. No, Brother Wuji, you've misunderstood. You always give me spirit stones when you visit. Aren't you going to give me anything this time? Besides, you've eaten my food and spirit fruits. Those aren't cheap. Yun Chuzhou stretched out her small claws confidently. Chapter 279. Prince Charming, you are too awesome. Shui Wuji stumbled and almost fell down. Yun Chuzhou, can you be any more shameless? I've given you so many things, and you ask me for money just because I ate a few mouthfuls of your vegetables and a lousy fruit. Brother Wuji, why aren't you speaking? Are you contemplating what to give me? There's no need for it to be complicated. Just give me some spirit stones. I'm not greedy. 1 million isn't too much, 10,000 isn't too little. I know Brother Wuji is the most generous person, so you definitely won't let me down. Yun Chujia's smile was very bright. Shui Wuji felt so angered by the little girl that he was about to vomit blood. Di Baiming said leisurely from the side, "Black thing. Shui Wuji is famous for being a cheapskate in Tianyuan continent. How could he give you spirit stones? You'd better give up on this idea. Little sister Jiu, don't listen to his nonsense. He's blatantly slandering me. Here, I'll give you these spirit stones." Shui Wuji took out 10,000 low-grade spirit stones painfully. Shui Wuji, aren't you going to admit that you're a cheapskate? How can you take out only 10,000 low-grade spirit stones? I've always given Black Thing 1 million spirit stones as a base. Di Baiming said disdainfully. 1 million? Shui Wuji's heart was about to shatter. However, for the sake of his honor, he could only force himself to say, "Humph, this is just an appetizer. Little sister Jiu, don't use your spiritual sense to resist me. I'll transfer the remaining 990,000 spirit stones to your storage ring." Yun Chujiu nodded cheerfully. No resistance, no resistance. Brother Wuji, you're really generous. Brother Wuji, the next time you come again, I won't charge you for your meal. Shui Wuji was not in the mood to deal with Yun Chujiu. He said a few words perfunctorily and quickly left with secret agent Hua Hua. He felt that if he did not leave, he might even be extorted for even more spirit stones. Shui Wuji left Spirit Radiance sect. He was so angry that he smashed a huge rock into powder with one palm. "I'm so angry. I'm so angry. Di Baiming, this expressionless man, and that stinking girl are singing the same tune. They cheated me of 1 million spirit stones. I won't forgive them." Secret agent Hua Hua waited for Shui Wuji to vent his anger before he said, "Young master, have you noticed? The lightning that Yun Chujiu released isn't the silver heavenly lightning that ordinary thunder root spirits have. It's actually purple." Shui Wuji nodded. "I've also noticed it. Not only that, she can actually use spells consecutively. It's indeed a little strange. Young master, although this little girl's strength is lacking now, when she grows up, she'll be a powerful helper to Di Baiming. Should we kill her before she becomes stronger?" "Kill her? No rush, no rush. I think it's better to get her to be my helper than to kill her. When that time comes, Di Baiming will definitely be so angry that he will vomit blood. I don't believe that I can't compete with that expressionless man. That little girl will definitely slowly realize that I am her true lover. After I finish using her, I'll tell her the truth. Ha ha ha. When that happens, it will definitely be very interesting." Secret agent Hua Hua lowered his head and did not say anything. "Young master, you better be careful. That little girl is much more shrewd than you. When that happens, you will not be the one who will be scammed instead of the little girl." Achoo! Achoo! The black-headed chicken must be talking about me. Ha ha ha. Prince Charming, you are too awesome. If it weren't for your godly assistance, I would only be able to scam 10,000 spirit stones at most. Yun Chujiu could not be happier. What you said makes sense. If it weren't for me, you would only be able to scam that red-robed fool for 10,000 spirit stones. Since that's the case, transfer the remaining 990 to me. Di Baiming said indifferently. Chapter 280. Was even more shameless than me. Yun Chujiu almost slapped herself in the face. Who told you to be talkative? Who told you to be cocky? The gigolo had found a loophole. However, there was no way for him to take the spirit stones that were already in her hands. Yun Chujiu picked up her chopsticks and continued eating, acting as if she did not hear him. Those who were in the battle of wits just a few moments ago had not have their fill of the food. Black thing, don't assume that you can go back on your words just because you don't speak. If you don't give it to me, best believe that it'll make you pay me double in the future. Biming raised his eyebrows. Yoon Chujio secretly scolded the gigolo 100 times before continuing to pretend that she did not hear him. She ate happily. Biming glanced at Yoon Chujio and said faintly, "Black thing, I'll ask you again. Are you going to give it to me or not? I don't care if you want to hog it all to yourself, but in the future, you can forget about eating these food again." Yoon Chujio weighed the pros and cons and immediately said shamelessly, "Prince Charming, I'm not acting dumb. I just want to have a good time since I've never had that many spirit stones. However, since you want it, I'll give it to you." The miserable Yoon Chujio did not even get the chance to hold the 990,000 spirit stones, and it already left her hands. Therefore, she turned her anger into appetite and ate all the food on the stone table. Then she hummed while rubbing her belly. "Wow, I'm so full. And Fong, carry the Prince Charming into the house. Help him wipe his face again. I'm so full now. I have to digest my food before I do anything. Oomph. Gigolo, since you're stealing my spirit stones, I won't serve you anymore." Biming curled the corner of his mouth. "Black thing, I initially thought that it was quite troublesome for you to carry me and wipe my face, and wanted to pay you some reward for it. Since you're not feeling well, then forget about it." Yoon Chujio immediately jumped over and asked, "My Prince Charming, how much do you plan to pay? Why are you asking if you're not feeling well? And Fong, carry me into the house." Biming said lightly. And Fong was very smart. He immediately came over and said, "Miss Jo, let me carry our lord. You can continue walking around." "Go away. That's my bedroom. Can a man like you enter as he pleases? Prince Charming, give me a price. I'm not that full anymore." Yoon Chujio said obsequiously. Biming glanced at her. "Since you're so proactive, I'll let you carry me. As usual, 2,000 spirit stones for each service." "Deal." Yoon Chujio was afraid that Biming would go back on his word, so she carried him into the room. After entering the room, Yoon Chujio was like a hard-working bee. She helped Biming take off his coat, then wiped his face and rinsed his mouth. She was extremely attentive. Biming curled the corners of his mouth. "Black thing, no matter how hard you jump, you can't escape from my palm." Yoon Chujio finally finished her work. She laid on the bed and pondered. Damn it, she had just earned 10,000 spirit stones in half a day. It was not even a fraction of 990,000. The gigolo was using her money to hire her to serve him. Shameless. He was even more shameless than her. Yoon Chujio was not happy, so she naturally wanted to torture Biming. Therefore, she got up and said to him lovingly, "Give me a good night kiss, Prince Charming." Biming was stunned at first. Then he said in a panic, "Nonsense. Go to sleep. Prince Charming, don't be shy. Come, let me have a kiss." Yoon Chujio pouted her pink and tender lips and slowly approached him. Biming's heart was filled with both anticipation and anger. He thought of what happened that morning and felt that this black thing was definitely teasing him again. Yoon Chujio naturally did not want to kiss him. She wanted to tease Biming, but unfortunately, her hand slipped and she could not support her body. Yoon Chujio's lips landed directly on Biming's lips. Biming naturally would not let go of such a good opportunity. He immediately began conquering her. A thought flashed through Yoon Chujio's mind. "Fuck, I, a dumb child, accidentally forcefully kissed the gigolo again." You're tuning into the Lee May's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.